Welcome to episode 15 with a special guest. I believe it's Heckmeister. If you want to introduce yourself, what you do with League, if you do anything at all.
I think I do anything at all, but people keep telling me I don't. Hello, my name's Pablo. I occasionally work for Esports Heaven. I put out small little features, and last pieces I've done were small profiles about most of the teams at Worlds. You can check them out at esportsheaven.com. And yeah, mostly Twitter analyst, like a lot of people like to.
Well, and then joining me are the usual. Well, I guess Sam just left the room, but Sam and Peter, the usual.
I think he heard Twitter analyst and just left.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if Twitter analysts are occurring this year. It seems more like Twitter memers.
That is so true.
The analyst. It's become a worrying trend.
Did you just?
Garbage.
Did you just?
It's been a memeing of garbage, in my opinion. But we can jump right in. We're gonna go group by group, focusing mainly on the Korean teams, and then talk a little bit about Group B without the Korean teams in it. We can start with Group A, and people's thoughts about KOO doing pretty well comparative to most other teams.
Yeah. So it's 2-1, 2-1, 1-2, and 1-2 in Group A. Kuchai and CLG, which they just beat today, so looking good.
So in the first game, KOO beat Pain Gaming in quite a sort of one-sided affair, as you would expect them to do. And then they played Flash Wolves and lost, and then they beat CLG in a really one-sided game.
Yeah.
In fact, the game against CLG was probably the most one-sided game of like possibly of the entire tournament. I thought
there were some Bangkok Titan games that were
excluding the
They don't count.
Excluding that fucking joke of a team that's like they just got 5 homeless guys off the street. But like, oh, here's some food if you play some matches. Like, the knowledge that Jin have to sit around at home while Bangkok Titans get to play at Worlds is a fucking joke.
Oh god, the pain.
That is pretty much the pain.
Hashtag free GBM.
Yeah. What I would say is that like KOO really bounced back off the back of that Flash Wolves loss. Like they lost to Flash Wolves, they lost to Gangplank. Fucking Gangplank. It did like 3,200 damage with one ability. It was fucking retarded.
2,060. Yes, it did 2,060 damage with one crit, and he was pretty far away from it. The entire Gangplank ult away when it hit, and it literally that one thing. Flash Wolf played well, but that one ability turned the entire game, and Flash Wolf snowballed well.
Yeah.
But it was that ability that got them to that snowball, which is fucking atrocious.
Yeah,
so it's KOO Tiger's fault that they let the Gangplank get through the draft phase, but I kind of am of the belief that just because you let a champion get through doesn't mean that you should just lose the game straight outright. Like there were other problems as well, like the fact that Karsa was on Nidalee and then Prey was on an AD carry, was on Jinx, so he couldn't actually ever get away. So if he got hit by a spear, it was like he was donezo.
Karsa was always in Prey's ass. Like every team fight, like
he played it really well.
Flashed on Prey every time. Like just if he even hit something, it doesn't matter. Fully immediately flash on Prey and kill him in the Cougar form. It's disgusting.
I mean, had that barrel not hit, Karsa was MVP of that game for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But MVP of that game was that barrel.
So
yes, exactly.
But I think that like KOO Tigers look good in their group and look convincing for me. Like they should. I mean, yes, it's disappointing that they haven't gone 6-0. But when you think about the prospect of going 6-0, it is actually kind of quite a daunting.
You have to win the 6 best of ones in this retardedly new meta.
In this completely new meta where
nobody's getting Gangplank again. This world.
Yeah, and I don't actually think. And I actually am of the opinion that no team will manage to go 6-0 now, except for possibly SK Telecom might manage it.
Origin.
One thing I did want to.
I thought Origin was going to split 1-1 with KT even before like Worlds began.
Yeah.
LGD shat the bed. But
what I want to talk about as well is there was a moment where Freak was like, oh yeah, so CLG and KOO are like, both top of the group. I was like, well, technically, Ku are ahead them because they've got their head-to-head record over them. Like, I mean, I know that if it was the other way around, you'd be like, well, Ku Tigers are in second and CLG are first. Like, just some of the fucking bias you hear on that cast is just fucking unbearable. Like,
he also thought KT would be fourth in the group.
Yeah, I
laughed so hard.
Yeah, and then it's just like every prediction as well. Like what Cloud9 just beat Fnatic. Okay, so we're gonna go to a completely different group featuring completely different teams from completely different regions. Who's gonna win out of CLG and Ku? I think CLG are gonna win. Like, what are you basing that on? Like, what at all logic do you have? And then they got jumpstered. Like, if you predict a game to go one way and it goes that badly the other way, you fucked up. Like,
well, with the predictions, I'm a lot more forgiving for those as long as they have some sort of rational reason for why they're predicting that way. Like, you can be wrong 100% of the time, but as long as you have as long as I can be like, I could see if they did win, they'd have to go that way.
Yeah,
I can, because you don't get the analyst desk during pick and ban, which I think would be a bit more interesting, because then you could have them do their picks after pick and ban, and you could be like, okay, this is, and they can each have like 30 seconds.
Cheating.
They do that in Dota.
Yeah, I know, but you got like a minute and a half to 2 minutes in between when they finally lock all the champions in to when the game starts. You can have the analysts talk about, like, give each of them 30 seconds, say, I pick this team, and these are the 2 reasons why. But nope.
Yeah.
Gotta pick them before pick and ban occurs.
So game goes in so fast.
And like the other annoyance as well is like, just sometimes you can hear the NA casters making noises when like a North American player dies or something like that. It's like so boring, like Freak going no when like Doublelift dies. I'm like, I'm meant to be a caster, mate. Like, should be fucking cheering for one team openly on the cast. Like,
I did hear that too. Yeah, I actually heard somebody cheer on the fucking cast.
Yeah, I don't understand why no one like pulls people up for that. Like, and the worst part is when you read the Korean, like when you read the translations of what the Korean casters say, they're not as biased towards Korean teams as North American and European casters are towards their own teams. Like, they're not. They're harsher on them, if anything, kind of thing.
I was gonna say, if you look at the other analysts and us, I mean, I think we're pretty harsh on some of the teams in Korea, and a lot more harsh than needed.
You have to be.
But as an American who has watched football, like American football growing up, holy shit. Casters are just like, they will just cast the game and just shit on one team the entire time, regardless of if they're better or not, just because they have some sort of grudge.
Depending on what radio station you hear in football or soccer, it's the same exact thing.
But then it's just like, I guess it's just disappointing for me, like, that the broadcast has been so openly biased. Like, it hasn't even tried to disguise it. You know what I mean? Like, they've just been so openly biased and sort of.
Aside from Deficio.
I don't think Doa is that biased either, but yeah, he's a Korean caster.
Doa's trying. Doa's
just a hype caster. Yeah. Like, what's he will cheer for everything because that is Doa. Like, I don't think he really cares who is doing it. He just wants the support to get the kill.
Yeah, he doesn't care. As long as supports get to fight each other, then he's happy.
One thing though, I want to bring this back to the Ku Tigers and sure. There's one thing I want to mention about their game they had against the Flash Roll. I think Gorilla was playing Alistar.
Yes.
And I don't know if everybody knows this, but Alistar received a change to his W in which the speed of his trajectory is lower. So if you're not used to hitting the Alistar combo continuously after the change, that becomes so much harder to hit. Like, so harder. Like, a lot of you could see it in Gorilla's play that he's not used to that. You can see it in everyone's play.
Yeah, everyone's playing Alistar is missing it ever so slightly.
Right, and I see a lot of especially on Twitter and on the cast, they're like, "Oh, Gorilla wasn't playing well that game." It's like, it's not that he can help it. Like, even if you do it millimetrically perfect, as you used to do it, that change forces you to learn a new way to do it.
That's true. Yeah, it's
a lot bigger than people give that credit for. That is a much bigger change than people give it credit for.
What patch that was on?
I actually think that change completely temporarily killed.
Why that happened, really?
Yeah, I don't know why either, but I feel like that one change actually temporarily killed Alistar's viability, because Alistar's a champion where if you can't reliably hit the combo every single time, you shouldn't actually be playing the champion. Which is why if you actually go through a lot of the upset results, like Alistair's got a horrendous win rate at this tournament. If you actually go and look at his win rate, it's not good. And I think that's the reason for that is because the champion just doesn't work anymore. When Fnatic lost to Cloud9, Yellowstar was playing Alistair. When KT lost to
oh, that reminds me. That was the Baron fight. Alistar hit the headbutt on the jungler, I think, and Huni went in. Huni got exhausted as soon as he went in. He hit no carry with that ultimate. None. And he just completely got obliterated between the Baron damage, the splash damage of the AoEs. He got obliterated just because Yellowstar could not time the pulverize as the headbutt was going through.
Yeah, so
I think that Alistair, I don't think he was completely removed. I just think that you can no longer, if you pick Alistair, you can no longer rely, like, as a team, you can no longer use that as the initiation. You can still use him as a peel, but you have to use Flash Q. You can't use WQ anymore unless all your player has done since then is just relearn how to do that. Because I'm not the best at it, but when I used to play, I would take like a couple hours and then just fucking work on that WQ on minions, and it takes the exact amount of knowledge where you don't even want to think about it. You just want to like have it wrought in your like just be able to do it.
If we see good plays from Alistars, like many from the Korean sports, they always used flash right now. Like when Pickable goes in or something, it's mostly just with flash Q and then the headbutt for repositioning of threats and not actually going in with Q flash. It's happening a lot less for sure.
In team fights, that WQ is just I don't think you can use it anymore. I think you have to use Flash Q if you want to keep picking Alistair.
Yeah, or you have to like W away a bruiser and then Q them when they try and come back. You can't use basically the combo at all. Which it just means that like I've just seen so many losses where because the team hasn't actually like adjusted to this, which is a sign that it's just this new patch is a big reason why these teams are getting upset. And like I'm sorry, but it is. But because when the meta is less known, there are too many factors involved. So like too many things go around. Now I'm not going to say I was responsible for all of them. Like LGD, that's nothing to do with the meta there, mate, and literally nothing to do with the meta. That's fucking Ghost Tom being the worst coach ever. And I don't know if anyone read that statement that LGD put out before Worlds, where they were like, Hom's not going to be our coach, he's just going to be in the crowd and like Prince players. Like, I love this idea that whoever wrote it was like, nailed it, motherfucker. But
they had to put that out because he was coaching for IG and LGD at the time.
No, he was coaching for VG.
Or VG and LGD, and that's definitely not kosher. So.
No, but what I also find funny is the fact that like, you know, because when Chris got like let go as the coach and PYL and all these people put out these things,
I think he left.
Yeah, they're like, oh, he did nothing for us, like you weren't worth anybody, or that kind of thing. And now the results just gone off a fucking cliff straight away. I'm like, he probably did do a lot, you just don't know what he did. Like, shock horror, players aren't 100% aware of what coaches do for them.
Yeah. I mean, back to Coup. Actually, I mean, definitely Gangplank was the main reason they lost. I can help. Gangplank just a dumb champion. But like
also inexperienced with the Varus from the AD carry role as well, because obviously that's an NL specialty, and that's how he gets over. He's a shit player.
Yeah, but I don't think that.
I think a lot of the problem is, even though these teams had like 3-4 weeks of practice time, like that Alistar change, for example, that's something so small. Like when you're reading a set of patch notes, you look at the Alistar, okay, the W, you look at it and you're like, okay, that probably doesn't do much. So you would want to ignore that just so you could practice other things. Like how many teams have been picking up Braum because they probably put a ton of hours of practice into Braum. Or like, okay, Braum would work as a counter to a lot of the poke, and he's a very good secondary initiation. He's very good for peeling, yes, and he protects AD carries well.
Controls the team fight basically.
A good Braum, just by auto attacking two people at specific time and ulting when his carry is under threat, he would change a team fight on his own. So people have been trying so hard to perfect Braum. You could see it. Like a lot of people are doing really fancy shit. I think most of Braum's losses is not because of Braum, but that's a different story. So you see a lot of people practicing the Braum, the Annies and whatnot, the combos with Kalista and Thresh, so that Alistar change goes completely unnoticed. And I wonder how many other small things have been changed with these, like 5.16, 5.17, and 5.18.
I think Vigor is also one of those things, because I play it, but it's because the Dark Matter fall is slightly increased, is it's way easier to hit dark matter when you land the stun. That's the main reason why Veigar got so much popular these days. Also, you got.
I did not know that, for example.
Yeah,
like,
you didn't know that, but that's actually the main reason why people are saying playing Veigar more.
Yeah, it used to be
that
like
explains a lot.
It used to be if you hit the stun, you used to have to do the dark matter like almost immediately in order for it to go off, which made him like quite awkward as play as a champion. But now it's a case of like you've got like you've got a bit more of a grace period where it'll still land on them, which means that you can just do the entire combo, which just dumbs the champion down mechanically. So
exactly, this is the kind of thing I wanted to get to. So like, how many more changes are there? Like, we could go to patch notes and probably find another change that we did not go over.
Well, that's one of the interesting things. Is usually if you have like a stable meta where it's going to be. If you go back to last year where there was just a few small tweaks and they had a much more stable meta going in, you could still see it develop through. Like, there were different things that were used in groups, and then when we got to quarterfinals, they started to change it up, and they found it like more, not just straight up counters to it, but ways to play that made that strong pick irrelevant. And then you could see that strong pick come back with another champion you put in. You're like, oh, well, if we use him and him together, we can get around your attempt to prevent that. Like, there are so many things that come up within a meta, regardless of whether it's fresh or stale, when it comes into Worlds, whether it has like 100 games being played or it has 0. So I just think the amount of changes that occurred with it are pretty crazy. And the same thing with the Veigar and the Alistar one is that if you're a Veigar master and you probably know exactly when to hit that W, whether or not it's awkward, and you've got it down to where you don't even think about it anymore. Same thing with the Alistar QW, is that now it's not just relearning it, it's getting the previous way you did it out of your head.
Well,
and that in itself is
the
very
muscle memory is
thing.
strong.
Yeah.
The muscle memory is very strong.
Yeah. And then when you're in a team fight and it's that second, you can't be you have so much going through your head already. You can't be thinking, remember the patch, I slowed it down very slowly.
Yeah, there's too much going on because like teams take time on the competitive to like actually discover the meta as well, because when you're scrimming somebody, when you think about it, it'll be quite an isolated environment. So you will scrim somebody and then you will there'll be an almost meta developed between the sort of like, because those teams will scrim in sort of like units because they don't want to scrim teams who are in their group, obviously. So there'll be almost a meta that will develop in their scrim unit that the other scrim unit might not have. So you might have different prioritizations on champions, which is what can lead you to a situation where you can completely shit the bed and pick on bans and you lose the game there because you don't actually know what's strong champion because you've only got a sort of selective pool of data to draw from.
HQ had no idea that C9 was going to pick Veigar. They had no idea to play Veigar. But on the other hand, CLG, who played CLG first game, Bane, they banned it somehow the first game against CLG, and then they never got Veigar. So it's
I don't know. It's just there are weird things like that, and it's also the question of how serious are the people you're scrimming with taking it? Are they doing like the Faker special where he used to ban Gangplank, Galio, and Garen because they were the first 3? I mean, are the teams actually banning stuff, or are they just letting it go through? Like, oh, we know we're gonna ban this champion every single time, and don't have to worry about it. And they get to the games, and it's like they're the 3rd team to play, and they're like, oh shit, they've been dominating with these 2 champions. But that forces the other 2 we thought we were just gonna permaban the entire game, like the entire time through. And it just makes you wonder about how the actual scrimming went for all the teams, who they played, and what actually went with. Yeah. But we should jump to the other 3 teams in the group.
Well, yeah. So talk about whose other matches other than the Flash Royals loss, which was really just kind of an unfortunate series of events.
Yeah, definitely. But I can also point out that Prey has this summer. He's never been great as position later player. That's why the Juggernaut often doesn't even work for them anymore. So it would be nice just keep Prey on more supportive backline AD carries where he doesn't have to do that much. I
think Prey's had games where he's showed the fuck up and his wrecked face is kind of he's just
his Ashe is amazing.
Yeah, well, exactly. That's a whole different playstyle. That's what I mean.
His skill shot usage is still great. That's why his Corki's so good as well, for example, because he always hits every single skill. He doesn't miss anything. You know what I mean? But his problem is it's like and it's a long range arrows he does and shows that coordination where like arrow from a mile away and then it will hit and then someone will TP.
Those
it,
arrows are amazing.
Like it's good to watch, but you are right in the sense of like sometimes he gets caught out and sometimes he flashes in, but just to try and get the last auto attack on somebody, but he doesn't actually need to. So he's not a perfect player anymore. He is good though. He is good.
I also like how his Ash versus everyone else's Ash is very, very different. Where you'll see he just like it's just another Morgana binding. It's almost like, oh, the ultimate's got a 10-second cooldown, just let it go. Yeah. Is that they use it so much more often than I like when Ash kind of became popular for like I don't know a couple weeks.
Yeah.
During the finals and regionals.
Well, especially downplaying it.
You can see other people like hold on to the ult where they will fish with it, and then if you blow a flash or a cleanse or whatever, they'll go, okay, let's try and hit that guy. And you can see that in the CLG game where they kept using the Ashe ult, and then when they would reposition and Morgana grabbed the bind and be like, well, that's all we needed, we got you.
Yeah, and like the other thing as well is like their usage of the E, so the hawk shot, by far, like they knew what CLG were doing at so many different points when they wouldn't have actually known with any other champion because they're the first people who realized like the ability to give global vision on a part of the map is actually ridiculous.
Yeah,
like,
I always thought that was the best change they did with Ashe for competitive
I was like,
sense.
When I saw their match against CLG, and a huge mistake people will do is Ashe, a very huge mistake, is that if you're on the top side trying to siege the top turret, they'll shoot it towards like red and in that direction to see if their jungler's coming from that area. And red, no. What Prey did is that he shoots it down so that it makes sure he covered the Raptor camp, he covered blue, he covered Gromp, and any person he'd see in between, the rest of the team would react to it. As soon as Afromu was seen around Wolves, I think it was, from that hawk shot, immediately you saw Kuro stop being as aggressive.
Yeah.
Immediately you saw really the bottom lane back off. The usage was just so good during all stages.
It's really great because they use it to check the camps, because once you see what a camp is down and what camp's not, it gives you so much more understanding of exactly where the jungler is, and you can draw conclusions from that. It is yes, they've had fantastic use, and I think that's one of Ku's better things, is that they team play very well. And the biggest issue I had with going back to what Sam was talking about with the casters is they're being so patient, like for the first 10-15 minutes. Like, yeah, it's welcome to Ku. Yeah. They're not going to beat you in the early game, and they know that. So they're just going to be like, yo, are they seriously not going to attack? Like, are they not going to try and kill us in the first 10 minutes? We can just straight up farm? Yeah. Sweet. We'll meet you at Dragon and kill you.
I will say that during that game against CLG as well, and even the one against Pain, there were multiple moments where like Smeb just like absolutely styled on somebody. Like the moment where he was playing Kennen, he was super low health, and then he just flashes the Azir soldiers into Azir. Or the moment where he TP'd onto the mid lane first tier turret to save it, and then Pobel tries to hit him with the Emperor's Divide, and he just takes a little step backwards, and then it just like glides.
Oh, I saw that. He was so subtle.
And it's like just when you watch him, like this is why I don't get why people aren't hyping him more. Like when you watch him, he just does these little things. His movement as well, like on a champion, it's so sublime. There's just something about it. It's just like wow, kind of thing. But
just so people are sure, what he means. Paul Belter was using the Emperor's Divide to shove everybody into the turret, like to shove them off of himself. Smeb was running towards Paul Belter with his lightning dash on. What Smeb did is that as he saw Paul Belter was positioning to put the ult, he slightly moved just a bit south, just a bit to the south, not much. You could barely tell it. He just moved a bit to the south, the ult goes through, and he just continues to run right around the ult. Yeah. As if that ult never happened.
And
it's so brilliant. It almost looked like a bug. It was that good.
Scripted.
Yeah, it looks like
Snap using the script.
I'd say the biggest surprise.
He's actually like a CS:GO player as well. Like he's actually fucking scripted his ass off. Never caught me up, boys.
Aim hack.
That's how he went from being a shitter for ages. He really could. He just started using scripts and nobody's called him out on it.
He just has a script. He just has it in his mouse that has memory in it.
That's how his Riven combos are fucking perfect all the time because he's worked out a Riven script as well. Like it's so bizarre.
No, that's
The
just
bad
it.
thing we haven't
His
talked
Riven
about-
script was the only thing that was working.
Yeah, for a bit.
beforehand, yeah. The one thing we haven't talked about with Ku is Hojin and how effective and well he's played. Though if you watch the CLG Ku, there's one time where he flashes into the Azir wall and gets bounced back.
I did not see that actually.
I mean,
He's still Hoji though. He's still gonna.
he's still Hojin, but holy shit, he has. I mean, again, it is the worlds where the junglers are pretty bad, and I just want to mention this that the previous times we've done this, I've pretty much said junglers are going to be the role that decides whether or not your team wins a lot.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a good jungler, you're not going to have a good time in this worlds. And he has shown the fuck up.
It's weird to
There are
say
not a lot
that
of
he's
great
the best
junglers in this
jungler
group,
from the group,
but-
but you know.
There were no good junglers in his group.
Yeah,
Except
no, that's him. He's the best in his group.
Well,
like,
maybe Mountain.
no, Karsa's in his group.
yeah,
Mountain-
Mountain
Karsa,
is
sorry,
Mountain is
Karsa.
with HQ, so.
Mountain's shit. He's the guy with
Karsa's-
that Rengar game.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that Rengar. That was worse than NA Rengar. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Because at least NA Rengar
I want that
was
bad.
and
That
died.
is
No,
so
he got
you know.
one gag. He got one gag off. He wasn't that bad.
No.
That's more. That's
No,
more
no,
than
no,
Thompson's done in his
no, here's the
entire
thing.
life for that champion.
No, here's the thing. At least what an NA Rengar will do, he'll use his ult, he'll jump on someone and die. He would use his ult and just walk back and forth, which was the best thing.
I remember.
I remember this
Korean
one
game
ult he
that
did. He
was-
was close to Gromp, and he was just running downwards, and he goes back to kill Gromp after using the ult.
Yeah.
It was so brilliant.
quality usage.
Brilliant.
Yeah, but I mean, it's. I would say it's still surprising considering how bad Hojin has shown for a very long time. I would say he's been not the greatest, and then he shows up and he is doing. He surprised me with a couple of his games. He's been playing very well.
Lee Sin is his champion. I mean, they lost to Flash Wolves.
It's not
but
just
then
Lee Sin; it's
he
his
played
his
on
rec
it.
side.
Yeah.
too.
I was beast as well. And like, and another thing as well, it was just so delicious. Like this entire tournament, people have been talking shit about Kuro or going into it going, Kuro's bad. He's this. Like he get dumpstered by any Ian mid laner. Plays against Poe Belter. Fucking Rex.
He's not any EU mid laner, to be honest.
Was
Yeah.
it
Rex Poe Belter. That kid got
he
dumped
got
so
destroyed.
bad. There were so
He
many.
got so wrecked. Holy shit.
was it Kuru or Nagne that Faker talked about that said they're the hardest mid laner to play against because they make you fall asleep?
Yeah,
I
probably.
think
That was
it
Nagne,
probably
that was
could've
I
been-
think that is
okay.
Nagde more.
I'll say
That was
they could
Nagne,
probably
that was
fit for
Nagne.
Kuro too because they play super defensively. Where it's like, Jesus Christ, can I do anything
Like,
against
he
him
played
besides
aggressive
push?
with Victor,
But-
and
but
the
then-
moment he got the leads, he just kept
But
going.
that moment where he got like knocked back under the turret, but he wasn't taking turret aggro, so he was just like effortlessly, like he was just on the edge of it.
Oh, yeah.
Stop doing damage. It was so like his Victor play is so good. Like
That nobody can deny it. His Victor play is amongst the best you will ever see.
yeah,
it's
like-
true.
and it was for me like you pick a Zia that early on. He doesn't play it like he's not.
Yeah,
like,
no.
that's not a chance. That was so dumb. Like
When
we'll
Katie played versus Ku, it was like, oh yeah, Katie always can get free Azir, so they had to ban it because Kura doesn't play. There was a thing then and still is. I mean, Kura doesn't play Azir.
But now the matchup is favoured in the fence against Victor because it's got more late game scaling than Azir. So now, you can. It's
Deal more
just
damage as well.
like so the laning phase is fine. So he's Rex.
A lot more
Just,
upfront damage, yeah.
he grinds him out the lane, gets
Way
a big CS advantage, and then just dumpsters him over and over again. He's like individual outplays, and like it just. And then there was a moment where the way he uses his flash as well, like where like Smithy tries to come in on his Elise, like repels in, and then like he hasn't used his flash, and he's got like 20% HP. And then, like, Smithy thinks he go for the execute, and then it's when he drops in, and then he flashes, kind of thing. Like, he holds on to it just to bait Smithy out, and then Smithy dies as well. Like, it just watching that game, I don't actually understand how CLG are going to ever touch Ku Tigers because they just got dumpstered individually as well. Like, there was a huge,
My question too
Absolutely.
is, how did people not see that coming?
exactly like this is how did you ever predict that CLG were going to beat Ku Tigers? Like,
Hashtag Faith Age!
I said it.
Faith!
I said it.
I understand that, but
I said it on this broadcast. I said Ku Tigers are the worst team for any Western team to play against stylistically because of the way they play the game.
Well, mostly
And
CLG.
Besides
Origin is way
Origin.
different because they're
And
more aggressive.
this is before I thought I was talking with someone about this before. If Origin goes up against Ku Tigers, Origin is capable of making enough of a lead that Ku Tigers would not be able to come back from. That stylistically, Origin was the only real team that Ku Tigers would not have an edge on.
Yes, that's
Stylistically.
Because Fnatic doesn't
But that's
do
the
much
thing.
either, really.
Yes, that's the thing. Even against Fnatic, I think Ku would have a favorable.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Because they're actually pretty lax early game.
Yeah, the thing about the, well, I lost track. What was I going to say?
Ku.
Yeah, it was about Ku. The thing about Kuro is, just because he's a defensive mid laner doesn't mean he lacks the mechanics to take advantage of the situation he's in. He showed that with his Lulu against the Gangplank. I mean, he was shoving continuously out of
the CS lead.
The CS lead was ridiculous. That game was not lost because of anything Kuro did, but the fact of the limitation that he is on Lulu, and there's only so much you can do to empower your team to carry. You cannot carry yourself. And when he was given the tools to destroy Pole Belter in lane, because Azir can still survive a Victor, but you have to play that Azir perfectly, or else you're not going to survive that. Kuro just straight up smashed him in lane and used that lead very well. Like, he was bursting Tristana in the later fights without Tristana being able to do anything. Was it Tristana?
Yeah, Tristana.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, Gorilla was the MVP of that game in the way that we expect that from Gorilla. Like, and that was the other just beautiful thing I could just eat forever. The Lolly Sport list comes out, no Ku players on it. Fucking wreck them though. Fucking wreck COG. You had 2 spots on it, like absolutely fucking shit all over them. Like, right, Murray or whatever your name is, you fucking stupid, mate. Ku Tigers, shit all over them.
You should see his Twitter.
Yeah.
He is so beyond delusional.
Please don't see his Twitter.
I've noticed that.
I do not want to.
I already get fucking brain hemorrhage.
Okay, there's this one tweet. There's this one tweet I have to tell you guys about. Okay. There's this one tweet where he responds to a guy and he says, "I do not have to justify my list. The justification is on the Rift." He said that soon after, soon before the Fnatic versus, what game was it?
IG?
Fnatic versus Fnatic versus AHQ.
Oh, I see.
Fnatic versus AHQ or Fnatic versus C9. It was before one of these two, and Huni got destroyed. Like, Huni was useless in both of these games.
Well, you could see that in the finals.
We're not
right. No. But that's my thing. That's my thing.
I don't really see that. I don't see the point in us talking about like Fnatic or Huni and stuff like that, because I could just get into a whole other argument that would be not relevant.
No, I just found it funny that his comment is the justification of his list is on the Rift. Yet he's putting players like Aframu and Double Lift up there. He's putting Huni so high. Like, we can all agree Huni does not deserve to be that high, if on the list at all, but that's a different argument. And these players are players who should be, technically, overperforming. Like, they're demonstrating their abilities at this Worlds.
Yeah.
I've not seen much from Aframu. Like, sure, Double Lift played one game very well.
Yeah.
No thanks for the rest of them. Like, there's a lot of players that, especially leaving out players of the Ku Tigers, which it's still so.
The whole list itself was a pretty big debacle, but there's so many things you could go in. You could do 4 or 5 hours of just dissecting that.
Yeah, I know, but just the fact that he believes in his delusion is so funny.
Well,
that's a delusion.
Yeah,
really.
exactly.
Yeah, I know, but how deeply he goes into it is so good.
I just want to jump on one thing with the Flash Holds, that watching them reminds me a lot of my fake team that I pretended to be rooting for Worlds of Jin Air, is that they had near the end of the season where Jin Air was like being passive when they need to be aggressive. Like, they were waiting for all their ults to be up, and it's like, dude, you guys have a huge advantage, go. It seems like they have a bit of that where they, in the first game versus CLG, you would have, or no, sorry, not CLG. It wasn't until Ku, they were playing Ku, is that before the barrel they were playing kind of bipolar, and then you have the same thing versus Pain. It's like they were super passive when they needed to pick up more aggressive teams, put Pain down early if they wanted to be relevant in the group.
Yeah.
And it just seems like that they adapted the Jin Air, I don't know what to do anymore.
Yeah.
Mentality.
So does anyone? So I take it everyone here is pretty like, oh, they'll probably go 5-1 in groups and then just top the group out, and that'll be kind of done for them.
Yeah, cool shit. Not lose anymore.
Barring any crazy pick that they'll try out, like I can see them, trying something crazy.
If they try something out, they at least know how to work with it. It's more like against if they leave something open.
That's my point, because for example, they want to try the Veigar for themselves. I doubt they would have tried that in scrims. Say they want to try the Veigar for themselves, and they're not exactly sure how to work around it. Barring any stuff like that, this should be an easy 5-1.
Yeah, like
I don't see the Vagar happening though, because they banned it first against CLG and they were blue side, and then next week they start off their Thursdays games and they start on red side versus CLG. So that is, I mean, I don't see them not banning some significant OP champions.
And you've got to think about this way as well. There will 100% be less upsets in the second week than there are in the first week. 100%. Like, if you think that this world we live in right now, where Western teams are this massive powerhouse, they're slaughtering everyone, do you think this is going to carry on into the second week? Like, you're going to have a serious check with reality. Like, it's not.
To all those people, all I can say is even LMQ won their first 2 games.
Yeah, exactly. Like Cloud9 have overperformed and they've won 3 games, but there's every chance they'll just lose 3 in a row now. Like,
we'll get to them at Group B, but there's.
Well, we're not going to talk about Group B, really, are we? Because
we'll talk about it briefly, because there's not much to talk about Group C. Group C is kind of fucking boring. Like, today was a great day because Group C did not play matches. That's my opinion on Group C.
It was Group C games are entertaining, you know.
It was fun to watch SKT rip
They're entertaining, but they're so boring compared to the rest. It's like, oh, SKT is gonna shit all over BKT. EDG is gonna shit all over H2K. What are the odds?
I still rather watch that than TS versus LGD. Just want to say.
Yeah.
Oh my god, no.
Because that was not.
I'm still tilted.
Jesus. Yeah. No, like, but because of Flash was actually they're such a weird and consistent team that I actually don't know who's gonna get out now second in that group, to be honest.
I think CLG will do it. Before I had CLG playing a tiebreaker with with Flash Wolves, and I had CLG winning it. Then when the Xmithy visa situation happened, I had Flash Wolves winning it. Now I believe that, because I also said that if you lose a game to Pain, you're done in that group. You're done in that group. We're done here.
So
mop it up. We're done. Your morale will go to shit. You can't make up that deficit again. So now I think Flash Wolves are done. CLG will beat out Pain, and they'll beat and they'll probably. And the worst part is CLG. There's a world where CLG didn't beat Pain, didn't beat Flash Wolves because Flash Wolves didn't throw. Flash Wolves threw against them because they did the Jin Air thing of playing too passive when they could have played aggressive. Also, this Echo mid thing, stop playing it. It's not really a good pick.
That's something
unless you're rookie. Unless you're rookie.
It's really good into
rookie
Yasuo and other melee mids. If it's a melee mid, Echo's dynamite.
Yeah.
But if you're ranged, it really hurts your ability to siege, and it really hurts your ability to like actually be relevant early. Instead of fighting to keep up with CS, you really are just putting yourself and your team into a hole real early.
It's a bit of a mystery.
So should we move to Group B?
Yeah.
Yes.
We're gonna skip Group. We'll come back to Group B last.
Okay.
Because we'll just do all the Korean teams first, and then come back to Group B.
It's Korean talk, so we can't.
Oh yeah, we're gonna go to Group C, and the group of SK Telecom.
Such Korean, it's elitist. Wow.
It's Korean talk.
It's Korean talk, man.
They are the number one.
Tune into fucking EU talk if you want to what people talk about Fnatic, like Korean talk.
They are the number one.
I would if I could stream from here. My internet is so shit, but I could not.
Not even a webcam.
Win-loss.
Not even a webcam. See, I'm not made for this shit.
Korea's number 1, 7-2. NA is number 2, surprisingly, and EU is number 3. So KR is the best.
Still.
KR numero uno.
And 3 of the games they won come from this group with SKT playing against 2 no-name teams who are irrelevant at Worlds, and EDG, which people are hyping up EDG SKT. Before we get into this, I think this is one of the most overhyped matchups in the group stage, because why the fuck would either team show anything? What is the reason?
But then you've also got to look at this way as well. Like people keep harking back to the MSI final where EDG got the drop on SKT and they beat him in game 5. Right. First off, there's no Easy Hoon now. It's just Faker. Secondly, Faker's playing a lot better than he was back then as well. He's actually he's a fucking beast. Thirdly, EDG have downgraded their roster because they're having to use Amazing J.
That is such a fucking...
Who is not amazing. She just called himself J, or a bit shit J, to be honest with you. That would be a more suited name. A bit shit.
A big shit J. A big shit J fits.
If anyone tweets that out, I'm going to fucking come and that's my joke. I'm going to make that joke later on.
Hashtag a big shit J.
A bit shit J.
A big shit J.
Or a big shit.
Yeah, or very underwhelming J. But, so in the only match that really mattered in that, you saw Marin pick Renekton into his Darius, and then just fucking destroy everything with on EDG.
I don't even know how you do that, actually.
It was really off that lane swap. The lane
Yeah,
swap,
that's
he
true.
fell slightly behind, and as Monte Cristo loved to say, some days Smeb is the best top laner. Some days the best top laner because he can take small advantages and just completely take over the game.
Yeah, and this game you just saw Marin do exactly that. Like he got like a 5 CS advantage, like a slight experience, and then before you do it, like Amazing Jay was down 100 CS in 15 minutes. Like it was like, let's see how the game now, mate. Like I mean, even in EDG's wins, Amazing Jay has like a 10% kill contribution or something like that. Like he just kind of wanders around like
He's
a drunken
not
idiot.
the greatest.
Like
I would compare him to Marin too, though. Is that he is like Marin is this person who receives tons of gold, tons of pressure. He gets a lot of help from the jungler and a lot of help from the team in order to be able to take over the game. Where Amazing Jay, when he's played well in China, he's gotten a lot of attention. Where with EDG, when they were at their peak with Koro, they like ignored the fuck out of him, and Clear Love was all over bottom and mid. And Koro is just like, hey guys, I'm going to play super tanky champions that don't need a lot of gold and be super relevant on very little. Like, he was playing very well, and though he fell off, I still think Koro is a better player because of that, where you can put him on kind of champs that can get really tanky and be semi-relevant.
the issue for EDG with regards to this is that they did lose with Koro to IG and to LGD, neither of which are doing particularly well at this tournament anyway. Koro has a higher upside in the sense of he stylistically works better with EDG, but it is safer to use Amazing J for EDG because while he does take a lot of resources away and that kind of thing, at the same time, their recent results have been better with Amazing J. So in the EDG coach's mind, Aaron's quite a good coach, remember? Amazing J is the safer option to use because he fits the meta better. While he's a worse player, he fits the meta better. This is exact example of how a meta can change everything very quickly.
And this is also the exact example with which we could go back to spring, in which Easy Hoon was being played for so many games.
Yeah. He shouldn't have been being paid at all, to be honest with you. He should have just run out with Faker. But anyway,
I still think that.
That's right. You could see what. Yeah, Pablo brings up a very salient point where it's the same kind of thing where originally Easy Hoon was much better at Azir, and I still think he is. Yeah, he still is. Faker's Azir is underwhelming as fuck for what Faker does, but you could see what the reasoning behind swapping it out. But I still think, like the spring, you might as well go with Faker. You might as well go with Koro 1. He may not be great with the meta, but I'd still take him over what Amazing J's downside can be. I
think this is a lot of the mismatch. It's not just about the meta and the champion picks and thing. It's that combining with the fact that you need to understand where you want to focus your resources and gold. Because it still works. It's still perfectly fine to focus 100% of your gold into the AD carry. Still, it's never going to be different. Focusing all of your gold into an AD carry is always going to be one of the best ways to play League of Legends, right? So having deft on your team, that makes most choices a lot easier. Because I would rather allow deft to be the reliable carry than Amazing J.
Yeah.
Like, especially in a tournament like this, where top lane there's going to be so many contested picks in the top lane. A lot of deft's best champions will go untouched.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but and even Deft himself has fallen off a little bit from his performance in spring as well.
Absolutely. But
he
still,
was playing like a he was playing better than Faker then. And now he's like definitely not. So
yeah, I know, definitely. But still, considering the scope and of talent they have in the bottom lane and the people on his team, you're not going to give your resources to Pawn. That's just because that's the point of EDG. That's why Pawn gets to play so aggressive. Is because he's not. Like, it's this argument made he's not the reliable guy.
Well, no,
he's the X factor.
He is the X factor in that sense, but it's this argument of, like, if Pawn goes in, he kills one person, then dies, then EDG will win that team fight because now it's a 4v4, you know? So, like, he acts just to take somebody out, as it were. So there's no point funneling all your gold onto Pawn because, A, he does dumb stuff, and B, like, it's not the style of the EDG play. And actually, if you run down, no team that plays a mid-centric heavy no team is playing like all on the mid lane and doing really, really well. Like mid laners now is more of a kind of backbone and a sort of, I guess a stylistic thing. It's all about the side lanes now, not the mid lane.
Yep.
Yeah, even SKT, which is probably the most meta team you can find, they still focus a lot of their gold on Marin.
Yeah.
To make him work with the team. Not back
Well,
gets ignored.
They work that with the Marin because that's how they choose to play. Where they're gonna let Marin go and be what he needs to do and teleport in when he wants to because he is the shot caller, and they give him the gold so that no one can stand alone with him because they know they're going to be good enough with Wolf and Bang to not be too overly aggressive and get caught out. And then Faker can just do Faker things with no. He doesn't need any resources. He's just ridiculous.
No, you want to know what Faker's You don't want to know what Faker's resources is? The enemy champion.
Like,
How many solo kills has Faker had? I don't think he's had many on. I don't think he's solo killed Pawn. So. He did do a lot better versus Pawn than he does normally though in that matchup. Normally,
Absolutely.
I definitely think he's got over that whole Pawn thing. I remember on the.
That was like 2 years ago, pretty much.
Yeah, I remember on the group stage selection though, like one of the like I think it was Spawn was like, oh, I think SKT are the best team in the tournament. I don't think they're capable of beating EDG. I was like, they haven't got a mental block against them. Like they lost one best of 5. That's not a mental block. Like it's not like Pawn's is fucking like Faker's had moments where he's fucking destroyed Pawn as well. Like Pawn's first best of 5, Faker fucking wrecked him. Like
Faker technically tied EDG 1-1, so you know.
Yeah, and also
2-1 now.
2-1 now. He's actually winning against EDG. He's got a great
I think they're completely different teams now at this point, though. The way they're playing and everything. I don't really think they're. See, that's my issue too. Is like the entire scenario of this is so overblown and overhyped. It's ridiculous. Neither team has any reason to. Both teams should feel confident going into quarterfinals, looking at the rest of the groups and going, "Yeah, well, we can beat any of these fucking."
Nah, that's not. I don't think. I think Ku or KT would take out EDG in a best of 5 at this point.
I think it'd be. I
think
guess
it'd be
it depends
very
on picks,
close.
but they have a chance. I don't think EDG should really have like. If I was EDG and I had strategies, I would still hide them over.
Yeah,
playing against SKT.
Yeah, I mean, but you got to think about it this way. So EDG draw Ku Tigers, Amazing J versus Smeb. That's not going to go well for him. That's not going to go well for Amazing J at all. And then they draw KT, and you still got Sunday. That's not going to go well either because both those are fucking S tier talents.
I would still play. See, I don't know. I'd still play Koro 1 over them and just lane swap and hope that Koro 1 can play.
But EDG won't do that. Like they won't put it like this. KT are more likely to put in Fixer than EDG is to put in Koro. Like Koro doesn't want to play.
Oh my god.
He doesn't want to play.
Can I have a small side rant about Fixer?
No. Why?
What?
No, it's not really a rant about Fixer. It's just going to say Fixer is not a bad support.
Oh no.
No, he's not.
We never said
just
that.
because it's better. No, I'm not saying because you guys said that. There are a couple of people I've seen.
Oh no, yeah, I've
Fixer
seen
got
that too.
replaced.
Really?
Yeah.
Like,
I just want to keep that completely true. Everybody
when
should know.
Fixer came
just as
in,
fine.
you could see the team did better, and then Peekaboo came in. And he's like, "Yo, bitches, I'm gonna make you this much better. I'm just gonna pick all you up, put in the back, and just let's go."
Yeah, like
That's absolutely good.
No, so I think SKT as well. Like I think if there's one team that will go 6-0 in their group, it's them. Like save them, trolling their asses off to Bangkok Titans or something. That's the only chance of them losing.
The difference being is EDG now with the whole thing I said is there a reason to show? So you have to beat them twice now if you want to get #1 in the seed. You have to beat SKT twice because neither EDG or SKT is going to lose to H2K or Bangkok Titans. I mean, this is joke group. But now if you're EDG, you got to be like, yeah, there's legitimately no. Let's just fucking troll the second game because why?
That would be it.
Like you have to beat them once, and then they're like, okay, we understand what you're doing, and you're going to have to play later in the day, and we're going to beat your ass when we know how to play now.
Yeah.
I just don't think there's a reason to show anything with how.
I mean, does anybody seriously believe that EDG would go to blind pick both of their solo lanes into SK Telecom?
Well,
they would not do that. They would not in a best of 5. Like both of them, hell no.
You in this current meta, you have to either hide top or hide mid.
You would not. You would not. So, anybody who thinks that match means anything in the grand scope of Worlds, forget it. It doesn't. That was just EDG testing the waters to as far as they could get away with their composition.
SKT want to test out ranked, and
Yeah, I mean,
if anything,
Marin played
they
Renekton
saw.
for God's sakes.
Yeah, I'd say if anything, they saw another counter. Like all it did really was show the rest of the teams. There's another counter to Darius.
I still don't think Darius
should
should lose to Renekton though. But...
No, I don't think generally Renekton versus Darius. I would go to say that's a skill matchup. But the thing about the deceiving part of this game is that the EXP lead Marin has is even more deceiving because there was a point where they were fighting. I think they were both like level 4. Marin is in the middle of the wave. He dashes in, gets level 5 on that wave when he's doing 1 million. Then he like trades with Amazing J. Where he has like a level 3 Q. Chunks him out, recovers the health by the rank 3 Q, rank 2 or 3 Q, and he goes back. That chunks him out. That would sway any fight in the favor of Renekton from then on.
Yeah, sure. But I just don't want to point out. I don't think it's a full counter, but
it's a skill matchup. I'd go with that's a skill matchup.
I still think it's another legitimate way to play against him.
Yeah,
well,
if you
it's
want to
another
tank.
legitimate.
Yes.
What I would say about Marin as well is I think his Fiora is probably the best one of the tournament.
Holy
so
shit.
It
far.
was good. That was really good.
That was disgusting.
Like I think if there's any top laner who's adopted well to this like the new meta,
So that
it's
was a
Marin,
concern for really. I mean, for me, it was like
Marin?
I know Marin played a lot of stuff. I was not like, oh, he's not gonna adapt at all. But like he was never that much of a carry because he never played Riven, for example. Like Smap plays Riven. And something plays Riven, but he never touched Riven. I mean, you don't have to. You have a better Riven player on your team, but but
By that logic, there's not a lot of champions Marin is allowed to play.
No, but at least in this meta, he had to be able to adjust to like Darius and Fiora, because if he doesn't play any of those, it would
Absolutely,
be
that was a true
problem.
concern. Yeah,
and he's adapting very well, so that's very good to see.
Anything else about SKT? Just wiping the floor with everyone.
Well, I think Marin has gotten away with a lot of stuff with being top laner, but he hasn't shown a lot of his normal flaws.
He's not
moments
because he's had no ability to get tested. Like again, this is like World so far is a lower level of play than LCK. So because he's not had to play against Korean team.
Oh yeah,
So,
like a lot lower.
SKT and Kuev, like.
There's. I just mean like you haven't even with that. I mean you saw Marin would derp real hard against like Spenu and IM and Anarchy. He would push up without being warded. And I think he's been a lot more. He's pulled that side of him back, and it's
he's being serious.
Promising thing to see.
Yeah,
you can see he's actually being proactive.
Just as a side note for the chat, I am dressed this way because I'm supporting Coup Tigers who have just won a game. So when Coup Tigers win, I dress like Coup Tigers did in the spring split.
See?
That is why I'm wearing. I'm obviously not the kind of person who does this in my fucking normal life. Like, what the fuck do you think? I dress like this because there's homage to Coup Tigers. So there you are. It's for theatrics. I'm putting on a show here.
I'm dressed this way because I'm supporting Jin Air, and I assume that this is what they're doing of just kind of laying back in front of a computer going, good to not have to get embarrassed at Worlds.
Ain't that right, Trace? Rumble.
Oh my God,
Well,
Trace.
The only issue for Jin Air is Chasers like going, oh shit, with China going, am I still gonna get a lot of money? Like I hope that motherfucker signed his contract like
they might just
before
put
the
a
Worlds
ban on
began.
Korean players. They were like no Korean players anymore.
Okay. So
Yeah, I think that's enough for Group C.
I think we overspoke Group C.
Group D, I would say, is one of the more surprising ones with how bad.
Oh, undoubtedly.
LGD shit
I think
bad.
it's
I mean,
the most
it is
surprising.
actually going normal, except if you don't exclude LGD, the group is going pretty the way I kind of saw it coming. Like KT Origin fighting very closely together, but then you don't expect LGD just to lose to literally everybody and just shit the bed.
When they got matched up against TSM, I was like, right, okay. So I know you've shit the bed, LGD, but like
you cannot possibly lose this game.
Yeah, like there's no actual reason. Like there's not a player on a TSM that has any kind of advantage over any. Like that Godv guy, right? Like I put a tweet out, Gold V. People liked it, yeah. It's quite funny.
That was brilliant.
That is literally how Godv is playing. He's been the biggest disappointment for me at Worlds is Godv. He's played like fucking shit. I'm sorry, yeah. Like his attitude.
That whole team has been disappointment.
His attitude,
except for TBQ.
He's
He's normal.
Like his mentality is like a fucking tissue. As soon as he gets one tier on it, it just fucking crumbles in front of him. Like he's just done fuck all. Like I just watching this guy and play, I'm like I know he's a good player as well. Well, I watched LGD beat EDG. I watched their playoff run. I know he's a good player. He's playing fucking terrible. Like that. Like this. Like I mean, this is a bigger disappointment than Dade in season 3 or Name in season 4. Like this is a guy. This is a guy. People are like, he's right up there. You know, like he's beating Pawn. He's beating Rookie.
Yeah, everybody was putting him above Rookie.
Yeah,
second best mid laner.
He's coming for Faker. That's when I see he was coming for Faker. He's been fucking shit. Like that for me. It looks like a guy who's already checked out. Like he's already doesn't want to be here. Like apparently, so I give you some insider knowledge. Apparently, LGD have been like having a lot of issues in the sense of like their mentality. Like after they lost to KT, their mentality is so low. They're like they're on the verge of like having fist fights amongst them, basically. Like, and it's not like. It's not even like everyone. It's not even like it's like Acorn and Imp versus everyone else. Like everyone's just hating on everyone in that team. Like it's the most toxic atmosphere. And because they have no coach, they have no one to kind of rally them around or anything like that. So like the reason why LGD are playing so badly is because they had the loss to Origin, which was a close game, and they could have won that somewhat. And then from there, and then they played against KT, and they got outdrafted to fuck, lost that. Yeah. And now their mentality is just fucking done. Like they're done.
It wouldn't surprise me to go 06 and like.
Yeah, like I mean, I
would. I'd be surprised to go 06. I think they could at least beat TSM because I think they're gonna try and come back. Like if fire isn't lit underneath their asses, I don't know what could.
Yeah, but I think that's the team that like as soon as Worlds is done will just massively change the roster, 100%.
Which is
TBQ
sad.
out the door, please.
Well, yeah, I mean.
That's TBQ out, obviously. But then, like, is Imp going to stay on that team? Is Akon going to stay on that team? Is Godfrey going to stay on that team? Is PYL might stay. But, like, again, another one as well. PYL is a person who, coming into this tournament, we were told, like, oh, he's like the Chinese matter. Like, he's insane. Like, he's just as good as Gorilla, just as good as Pickaboo. He's played fucking shit. I'm sorry.
That playoffs run was, like, that's so mind-boggling to think of LGD of what they did to get first place and what they're playing now. It is so completely different where I don't think any person could have like definitively been like, oh yeah, this is exactly what's going to happen. I mean, yeah, you could see some coaching issues coming in, but it's just the amount of deterioration is insanity. Yeah, the amount of play, just individual mechanical skill they showed in the playoffs to make first seed to what they have become is
like watching Arrow and Pickaboo solo like 2v2 kill Imp, right? It's like that's not a thing that should actually happen.
That was such a good bait. I can't help it.
Oh my god!
I was just
that Arrow bait was so glorious.
Come get me.
God.
Like what I'll say is you know when Imp's losing lane, something's not right here. Like this is a guy who's built his career off the fact that he contests every single CS. Like he hammers you to fucking lane. Like laning against Imp is like a nightmare scenario. He's played like for me this is Imp's the biggest underperformance of Imp's entire career, including that season 3 Worlds where Samsung Ozone shit the bed. This is way bigger because at least then they
still played well.
Like, he played okay individually, and they still forced a tiebreaker against Gambit and nearly got out of that group. Like, in this situation, it's worse. Like, it's worse.
A lot.
Like, this is the worst. This is the biggest disappointment I've ever seen of anything. Like, this is meant to be a Chinese powerhouse, a team that's capable of winning the entire thing, and they've gone 0-3. Like,
that's normal.
They lost to TSM. Like, what?
Well, that TSM part, I'll bring up when we talk about the meta, but holy shit, that was stupid near the... I mean, yes, it had nothing to do with them losing. They definitely deserved to lose that, but that won, I think, 90% of Imp's health. I don't think he must have been happy about that.
That goddamn Mord Q. But I want to... The thing is, LGD, like, we all knew, absolutely everybody knew that there was always going to be one focal point of LGD in drafts and during the game, in the early game, that's TBQ. Like, if you were able to like get standard lanes, pin PYL to bottom, you could abuse the fuck out of TBQ. Everybody knows this. You've not needed to. Like, okay, teams have done it anyway, but it wasn't a necessity anymore. You know that your team LGD is completely fucked when Arrow is not having issues. Like I'll give you team fighting Arrow all you want, but laning Arrow not having issues.
Yeah,
that's just wrong.
Yeah.
That's
And
just
he's
straight up wrong.
been given Kog'Maw 3 games in a row. I mean,
He's good at
the
it.
best part about the Arrow bait was that you're like, it was 100% believable he would just stand there and get caught by the hook, because you're like, it's fucking Arrow. Of course he's gonna
I know,
like, it's gonna
that's why it
happen.
was so fucking good.
Like, I was like, oh no. I saw people like, oh no, they're setting up for a gank, and I'm like, oh no, don't do this, Arrow, don't. Oh, he got caught, and I'm like, oh wait, no, this is planned. It's
Yeah.
like,
This is
fucking
good, this is
brilliant.
good.
Even I was duped by fucking Arrow.
Like you watch it as well, you just stand still. It's like, oh,
It was
oh
like,
no!
oh, it's classic Arrow.
Classic. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, it worked. Oh, brilliant.
I saw Twitch chat when that was happening. People were like typing lag. Is he
Yeah.
lagging? Lag?
No, mastermind.
Yeah, fucking
That's brilliant.
genius. Never question Arrow. They need to get that shit trending on Twitter. Never question Arrow hashtag. Get it out there, boys. Okay.
But
So that-
we should. What about KT? Because I think they looked pretty good throughout
Yeah.
the entire. They haven't really shown too much. I'd say they've played pretty similar.
I think
And
this part should be
the
mostly
OG
about
game.
KT versus OG.
Yeah, the
it
OG
was a
game was.
good game. Really.
Even though they lost, I'm still pretty impressed by KT
Mhm.
because I thought that they might have a few
Yeah,
issues,
way
but they've.
more progressive TP usage, and like that one time Origin got a good TP off, and it was Arrow overextending, but then Pika was suicide. He tried to help Arrow for some reason. I don't know why. He had no ult left, so
Yeah,
it's very weird. But like, yeah, they were falling behind in CS. That was a problem. I definitely think if Nagme just had not gone for Echo, which is it's not really his kind of pick. He could have picked a bit.
I think-
he could have played Diana or something too
Yeah, but
wavy or anything.
I think that's where the confidence came from because he had a few good games on Diana. So I think he was in the mindset of I can play melee mid laners
Yeah.
fine, and obviously he can't.
But even that excluding, like they were still doing fine, but like they were only keeping up ahead. They were only slightly ahead, even though they had so many kills because of CS differences in both bot and mid because of a lot of roams and stuff. So, but that was okay. It was just like they had a really good call. I mean, apparently Expect made that call. The call to go for the Baron, it was when KT really crumbled a bit. But I think they're gonna like try and fix that and not make a mistake. But it was actually exactly the same mistake they almost made versus was it TSM or
TSM,
yeah, versus TSM where they
Oh,
just
yeah.
over pushed the bot lane and
Yeah.
leave Baron exposed. So you know, Kitty will work on that. And overall, before that call, they were actually doing quite well. And
That
just
game
like
was
Monty
very good.
said though,
That
they
game was
should
very
have
good.
just straight up gone for
I
it.
thought they were gonna
Like there was
trade.
no reason to turn. They were so far like with
That's
the
pretty much the
TSM
furthest
one.
away you can be from Baron at that point.
With the TSM one, the TSM didn't have enough damage to really blow that up quick enough, and they had. I thought they would have enough to prevent that from happening and do enough damage in there to really shake it up. But that versus Origin, they should have just taken that free inhibitor. That was a free inhibitor trade for Baron. They have plenty of wave clear with
Yeah.
Kog'Maw, with Olaf. Olaf was still killing Soaz 1v1 as if it was no big deal.
It was also
And they're just like, there's no way they could have split push and had TF kill, like, if TF ports in to save Fiora, Olaf and Fiora kill each other. Or Olaf kills Fiora, TF kills Olaf, and that's it. You trade 1 for 1 and you blew their ult. I see no reason why they should not have
like
attempted that.
what I would say is like Origin played really well in that match, and
Yes.
they really did, and they've really come
Origin
out.
has
They've
played
really,
very well.
they've surprised me with how well they played. But KT played well in that match too. Just because the team loses doesn't mean they fucking played shit. So what annoys me is people like, oh, this is the biggest upset ever kind of thing. Like the Koreans are like, good. Why don't you stop putting down Western players when they actually have a really fucking big performance and really show up and stop? And this, like, just because someone loses doesn't mean they're bad. Like, it just means that they weren't just quite good enough in that one moment. Like, over a solid best of 5, I think KT would win. I think their ability to adapt in a draft and stuff will win. And I think that they will force a tiebreaker against Origin, and then they'll win the tiebreaker as well. That's my. I'll go all out on that prediction.
The Origin and KT, I think, are my two teams of making it out of this group now, and I think it's going to be really exciting to see the two games you could see for the tiebreaker, because I do think KT is going to come back and be able to beat them. I think they're very close, and that is a huge. I mean, I assumed Origin could take a game off KT and force a tiebreaker, even if it was for second place, thinking that LGD was not going to completely fall apart. But I still see KT going out first. It just the biggest issue I've seen for Origin is that you've seen 2 games where Soaz has played very, very good, but he has been shit on 1v1 in 2 games. And yes, he was able to backdoor and make the play, but he got trounced.
Wait, who did he get trounced by other than Someday?
He got trounced in LGD's game. He was.
No, I don't think he
like,
did.
what was he, like 04,
It wasn't
05?
trounced. No,
He was fine in lane because he had a massive counter pick.
Yeah.
No, the thing about that one was that that was the game that Soaz played the lane swap very poorly.
Yes.
Yes, he got massively behind, and
Then Acorn tried to make a teleport play with the Malphite. The teleport play failed. Then he went back up, and then it undid all the work of the lane swap. At that point, they were on roughly equal footing. Malphite loses to Vladimir. I play Malphite a lot. Trust me, it's a fucking horrible matchup. Like he's just draining your blood. You don't even have any. You're like,
you need to put Chalice, and that is the only way you can kind of make it work.
Yeah, and then you're like, but then
you have Chalice.
And he out sustains you, and you've got like to make it tanky, so you're not really. It's fucking nightmare situation. I think Acorn actually played it about as well as you could hope for someone to play it, and I think individually, I think Acorn's probably the biggest performer in LGD right now in the sense of like he's not been like, but he's always had a style where he's an enabler for his team, and his team aren't doing anything with that enabling. I think
there's one thing I want to talk about Acorn and the failed teleports before we move any further, and that one specific teleport, like the very first one that he did, and they were invading the blue of Origin. Origin was red side, and I saw both TBQ and Acorn focusing too much time on the blue buff, where the bottom lane, I think it was Imp and PYL, were smacking Mithy. Mithy gets ulted out by Kalista. If Acorn and TBQ had gone for Kalista at that moment, they would have gotten a double kill plus bottom turret plus dragon. That play would have been awesome. But they focused so hard on that blue, and I want to know how much of that is actually communication issues between them. Because I was seeing Acorn is trying to hover down bottom, but they were.
That team's not talking anymore. They're not talking to each other in a game. You can tell, I don't think you realize how bad their morale is. Like they're not talking anymore. Like there's no communication. There's no issue with their communication because there is no communication. Like to have a communication issue, there's just none. They might as well take the headsets off and just listen to the crowd. Like that would give them more communication. Like
French chance to it.
Yeah, like this doesn't say anything about like a mixed language roster or any of that because those players hate each other. They fucking hate each other.
I don't think the use of saying they can't communicate should be a reason. All of the teams right now have had those Korean players on their team for an entire year. If they were able to beat other people that also had Koreans on their team and looked like they were coordinated, all 3 of these Chinese teams were coordinated in the finals and regionals near the end of the season. They've all had their time to get past and work out how to communicate. It's not like this is something new. We saw that with Starhorn Royal, with Zero, and with Insect. They were able to communicate. It's a lot of pings and it's not optimal, but the amount of time casters and the analyst desk have talked about communication issues is overblown. No, if there's communication issues, it's not because they can't speak to each other. It's because they don't want to speak to each other.
Yes, for sure. That's one big glaring proof.
So to focus again on KT, because that's the team we should be talking about, really.
KT and Origin.
Yeah. No, KT.
That match was awesome.
KT match against TSM. So hard. In this, like Nagane doesn't have a great game in lane, and he gets solo killed by Bjergsen. Just as some more insider information for you, he was crying after that game because he was that sad of his own individual performance. Nagane is quite a dedicated player, and he's quite he's quite a proud person, and because Nagane's own personal story as well. When you think about it, his debut against SK Telecom, again in Season 3 World, that's where he debuted as a pro. I can't remember. Yep. He has the game where he solo kills Faker, and he has a really good performance. Since then, he hasn't had the same level of a performance at all. Like his performance. You know, he's been all right. He's very serviceable mid laner, but he's very average. He said in an interview with little Susie that he wants to kind of get over that sort of thing, and he wants to get over that ghost, because every time people talk about Nagne, they bring up that match he played against SKT. So for him, like, to get solo killed by Bjergsen, like, you could tell he's a pro in the sense of, like, when it got to a team fight, massively outperformed Bjergsen. Yep. Did the team fight really well. As Azir is really clever the way he uses the wall, a very efficient mid laner. But like that game there, you can't read too much into that solo kill, because he only went for that play because he was frustrated. You know what I mean? Like he was frustrated at what was happening in the game, I think.
We all saw that play. He straight up missed his dash to get behind Bjergsen. He missed it. At that point, everybody on the map knows he was just going to die to LeBlanc. Yeah. There's no avoiding that. He missed that, and he tried it. He went for it. He missed it. I hate the fact that that's getting overhyped as, oh, he solo killed Nagne. Sure, right. He killed Nagne after Nagne failed an attempted play.
Yeah, it was more of a Nagne misplay.
Why is nobody mentioning it? It was a lot more. It was 100% Nagne misplaying that more than Bjergsen killing it. Sure,
like it actually
hit the buttons and capitalize on it.
Like it actually.
Not even that. That's like bringing up, oh, Bjergsen did great against Faker because he was up in CS on Ziggs. Yeah, because motherfucker Faker was roaming everywhere in Cassiopeia and just fucking obliterating everyone.
Yeah, I will say this. Like, I actually think Bjergsen's not having a great tournament. I actually think he's underperforming as an individual player, and you can look at this in the fact that the one game TSM won. It was not off the back of a Bjergsen hard carry. It was off the back of a Wild Turtle Mordekaiser hard carry.
I think you have to look at the damage graphs of that game and see how much damage Bjergsen actually did.
Yeah, because Turtle's a shit player.
He went like 10-0. I don't even know how much kills he had. And like,
because Turtle's a shit player. But look at
Bjergsen is not having a bad world, man. Like, he's actually playing as good as he can. It's just, you have to work with a team of that actually does nothing. It's kind of hard to do anything, really.
I would say Bjergsen doesn't look like he's playing as well as he did last year at Worlds, because he has the same team. Like, he has a team that is just worse than last year at Worlds, and it's a lot harder to do. Like, as we've continued to move, as Riot has continued to move, there are a few things I've liked. One is that you have this kind of stylistic where you really have to go into the game knowing who you want to give the gold to. And there's things I don't like, where it's like one person off support, which is why I don't play the game anymore. You can't win the game with one person. Like, you can't be support and just fucking ward the map and go, there you go, you can see everything. Or you can't be mid lane and just completely fucking hard carry the shit out of the game. Is you have to rely more on your team. And unless you're AD carry who's playing a fucking not AD carry can one-shot the other one because of retarded damage, then you're kind of fucked.
Yeah, but I'd say that KT versus TSM game as well was overblown for how close it was, because I don't think it was very close.
But
it was by no means. Like, sure Bjergsen was quote-unquote winning lane. Everybody else was losing on TSM.
If you purely looked at mid lane, yeah, then it was close. But if you actually looked what happened around the map, then there wasn't even close at all.
Mid lane still ended. Nagne was 5-1 and 8. Bjergsen was 1-2 and 2. So he got the one solo kill, and that was it. And the biggest thing to look at that game, if you want to look at Bjergsen and playing great, he played great in lane phase. And then when we got to the Baron fight, the so important Baron fight, he blew everything on an ulted Alistar. And it was like, well, you got no damage, motherfucker. And they just walked in, sweeped out his team, and was like, well,
they went ham in that fight.
Thanks for Baron.
Yeah, and I will say, like, Sunday's playing really well. He's having a really good tournament so far. Probably the best individual player in his group. Peekaboo's having like a decent tournament so far. Score is playing fucking well. I don't care what anyone says. Score is the best jungler in that group.
No doubt. Absolutely,
like, he's done some fucking dirty ganks as well.
Sure.
Score admitted it. Once Peekaboo joined, he's got the freedom to actually play his role rather than have to do everything for the team. He's gotten so much better just individually as a player, not just as a unit with Peekaboo. Individually, his pathing has been a lot more creative. He ganks at the appropriate times. His timings on ganks have been impeccable.
My favorite narrative that is not being talked about with KT, and I think is a very interesting thing going into the Origin one too, because they're very similar, is Origin and KT. Look at them back at the beginning of this year, the spring. Origin was in Challenger, and they came up and they got into EU LCS summer split, and they did really great. And they got boned by not being in there in the spring and not getting any circuit points. And then they had to fight through, and they almost got knocked out by Rawcat. I mean, imagine if they got knocked out by Rawcat. They would be like, whoa,
But,
LGD might still be no good, or TSM may get out of this.
but think about it this way: if they were in H2K's position and H2K were in,
they'd get murked.
like, I mean, I think they would do better against EDG than H2K were, and I think they could maybe take game, but I don't think they could win a tiebreaker against EDG, which would mean they wouldn't actually get out of group, so we wouldn't have all this fucking euphoria or whatever the fucking shit's going off. So what I would say is Origins being C3 has actually been very beneficial. They've benefited off both LGD imploding and their own place in that group, as it were.
They definitely have benefited the most off the LGD imploding. But if you go back to the narrative, you have KT. KT comes in as this team. It's like, oh my god, spring. They lost Kakao. They lost Rookie. They lost their 2 better players. This is coming off of almost making it to Worlds and falling short because of the amazing Watch's 3-day recovery unit.
Yeah.
And then they come into the spring and they're not doing so hot. They don't do really well. They still have Hachani. They switch out Hachani. They get a better support. They get Fixer. He does fix the team to a certain point. He makes them better. They get into playoffs. They lose right in the way of playoffs, but they get a few circuit points. And then Fixer gets swapped out for Peekaboo, who comes in and really is ridiculously better. But, I mean, Fixer's not bad, as we already said. And then Peekaboo comes in, and you see the step up. You see another step up in the team and the play style. And the best thing, too, is if you go back, again, spring, Score swaps to jungle. It's like, what is this? He's literally, for the first few games, he just runs around as an attempted Band-Aid, like, oh crap, this lane's dying, I need to go there. Oh crap, that lane died too, I'm gonna go over there now. Oh crap, mid lane, like, he's just running around like a madman with Hachani on his team. And then Hachani gets swapped out, we get Fixer. You see him start to develop a bit more of his own play style. You get to see him start doing more deep boards. You start to see him develop as a jungler. And then finally Peekaboo comes, and you see like the chains unleash on Score. And he can finally be an actual jungler and do jungling things. And create different unique ways of pathing. And it's so refreshing to see that slow increase of skill. And I'm disappointed that literally no one has talked about this jungle pool of nothing, and how this is the best thing to talk about with KT is that, yeah, Peekaboo came in, he's done great things, but the other members on the team have had a slow increase, except for Arrow, have had a slow increase of skill.
I think I don't think Nagne's gone up in skill either. I think he's just going to stay. He's just Nagne, like he's just.
Well, I mean, because of, but you have the same thing because of that. You've seen Someday too has been able to be the carry top laner to take small advantages and be able to use them because he has the support of Peekaboo and Score to really back him up. There's just so many things that you could see now. It's like, wow, yeah, this team is playing great. I can't believe we're looking at spring. I can't believe that this team from then.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, it wouldn't be even so frustrating even if it was just to compare Score and Amazing and how their careers have been through this year. Even if it was just that would be more than enough, really. I mean, this Score's adaptation, like how much Score has improved, is criminally underrated. Like, really criminal.
He was used to be known as the person who always sat on the outside and just sniped people with Ezreal, and now he has to be the motherfucker engaging.
Yeah,
like if people are new to Korean League of Legends, Score's nickname was the Immortal Score because he would not die, because some team fights he would not even be there.
He would just Arcane Barrage in.
Dude, Arcane Barrage, he's like, okay, well, I'm gonna go farm that Wraith camp over there.
Yeah, God, Score.
Yeah,
Score's improvement this year has been one of the.
Also, full disclosure about Someday. Full disclosure about Someday. At the start of the year, I did not rate Someday very highly. I don't know if I'm the only one.
I think anyone did, really.
Because
not amazing.
I thought he was middling. I thought he was a higher mid tier, but
Yeah,
Yeah,
I thought
that's
he was a competent top lane. I didn't think he was as good as Save or there's a throwback there for you, isn't it? Or Flame, another throwback.
Fuck you, IG.
Or
Fuck you, IG.
fuck you, LGD as well. Or
Fuck those guys.
who are the
No,
other
IG
top
really
laners?
fucked over Fly and Save. So
Yeah.
Yes.
Or he was as good as Rock as well. That's another throwback name there
Rock.
for you.
Holy
Yeah.
shit,
Wow.
Rock.
Yeah.
that's a really sad. That's a really sad retirement, because think about if Rock could come in instead of Trace.
That would have been so
Like,
cool.
Oh, Jin Air.
God damn it.
Rock had like 6 professional games. Everyone was like, "This kid's amazing," and then he just retires. Like, brilliant, love it.
He had 6 games, and then sister teams are not allowed. He's like, fuck it.
No, he retired before that. He retired because he wanted to
retired.
be a police officer.
Yeah.
Really, I thought he retired at during summer.
Yeah, he retired. He retired.
No, he retired well before that announcement was made,
okay.
though.
Yeah, he retired well before the announcement. He retired because he got the opportunity to be a police officer, and that was his like lifelong dream or something. So
No, it's because I think it was something to do with the fact that was more reliable than becoming a pro gamer, which is not.
That's
completely
100% true.
That's probably
you can be a police officer anytime, though, Rock.
Yeah, but he's also playing
You got-
Jin
you got-
Air.
Could have got Jin out.
Okay, hold on. We're going to Rock and police officers. Let's bring it back to someday.
Playing for a team whose mascot, like the group is a regional air lane. It's not even Korean Air or anything like that. So of course I'd fucking take that.
I mean, yeah, but like so many good top laners left, and then someday really start stepping up, and KT was doing better. Because in the beginning of spring, he was actually doing that amazing. It's mostly in summer that he like really improved to a top level career.
A lot of Someday was overshadowed.
Duke was the MVP of
Absolutely.
OT in spring, not Someday. He was the second wrecking everything back then on a shit team though.
So Someday was like most of us only thought of him. Okay, he was the beneficiary of Kakao and Rookie having that godlike summer, and Someday, looking at Someday as an individual player, from just being that good teleport flank player to this sort of reliable top lane carry player, progression through from spring into summer, and his summer was really good. It was very, very good summer. That's a very limited narrative that they're talking about, and it's just.
Yeah, they're never going to go over narratives of Korean teams, though. They're not just an interest in Western fans, so
you can't spell narrative without NA.
This is why most Western fans have this image that Korean players are like these robots or whatever kind of thing. They're actually far from it.
That's the only narrative they're trying to project is Koreans are not robots. That's the only narrative that
they're occasionally people like Faker does stuff. So you know,
Faker waters some plants sometimes.
Yeah, like
he's totally robotically.
Yeah, so they're never going to push like a Korean team's narrative, because you know what, they probably push it on the Korean broadcast for what it's worth. So you know, that's the one with more viewers as well. So in that sense, it's good.
There's just so many good stories in Korea. Okay, back to.
No, I guess we should go to Group B now. I'm not sure if you.
Well, just to close it out, I mean, does anyone think that KT won't top their group?
It's best of once.
I can see Origin winning. I mean, it's not.
I think because Origin won the first game, there's a good chance.
But
that Origin could get out first.
Yeah, but I don't think they'll still get out like 100%. In my opinion.
Oh yeah, there's no way TSM are fucking beating KT Rolster. That's not gonna happen. Like,
or no, TSM. That was a lucky win against a slumping LGD. That's
but that's the only thing I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That there's no way TSM will actually do anything in that group because there's no way they can. Like, you know, they can't catch up to Origin. So even if they
have too many liabilities,
a game off Origin, they can't do it. And then they won't beat KT. It won't happen because you know KT best
they
KT.
Won't. TSM won't win. They won't get Mordekaiser again.
Well, they might. They might, to be fair. They wouldn't matter.
I don't
KT had that master draft against. Remember, KT had that master draft against LGD where they left the Mordekaiser open. We're like, oh, pick it if you want. Go for it. Pick it.
But that was KT. They were baiting that out. They wanted it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. But there's no reason why KT can't do that against TSM. So, but TSM are dumb enough to and they would pick it and then lose anyway. So.
My issue with that is, if you're banning 80 players away from Wild Turtle, you're in a big hole.
Yeah.
There's a lot bigger issues than that.
Yeah.
Shit, you waste all your bans on Bjergsen, you're set. Okay, so I think that's done with D. We could probably just move on to lightly go into B. I think
Yeah.
because we're all
B,
assuming.
what happened in B?
Well-
Oh yeah, C9 is trio in the group in this.
Yeah, I
first.
would say that the one satisfying thing for Group B, like really satisfying, is IG. Going into this, people were like, IG's a top 4 team at this tournament. I told everyone
God.
they're really inconsistent. They're gonna fucking like they had a
I
good
think
run.
everybody said they were inconsistent.
For me, IG and the Najin White Shield of last year, in the sense of just because they had a good regionals run does not mean they are a good team. I learned this lesson the hard way. It's time for IG fans out there to learn it as well. Like I was told, ZZ Tai is his master carry top laner. Not really.
No.
God.
Like Rookie himself has had a good couple of games. Cacao
That's my issue.
not
I
done
think
a lot.
Rookie played very well.
Watching Rookie play, I just like that is true teammate hell.
Yeah.
It is like,
Yes.
what can one man do
But
to carry this bag of shit?
But what I find satisfying is the fact that if Cacao and Rookie were on, I think now Score's actually playing better than Cacao. Ironic. But if Rookie was still on KT, like imagine how good that team would be, kind of thing. But it's not happen. It can't happen now because they're
I don't know.
left.
Neither
China.
of them are an 80 carry, so I think KT's issues are still
Score can
unsolved.
go back to 80 carry.
Yeah, Score would be the 80 carry then. At least you wouldn't get caught.
But no, like watching IG throughout the summer and all the playoffs, it's like every game they lost, you're just like, I feel so shitty for I feel so bad for Rookie because he's the only one that is consistent. Like if you use the word consistent with IG, you better be fucking talking about Rookie because he does really well almost every single game, and it's pretty much Kid and Kitty's like whoops, and then Cacao going, see you guys in 40 minutes.
Yeah, I'm gonna farm
dude,
for a while.
You don't
I don't
need to
get
go
Cacao.
AFK.
I really don't understand.
I
what's
don't
happened to
get
Cacao.
yeah, Cacao this words it's fucking confusing. There's nothing, like almost nothing, like so bad. Definitely the first game, like he had like what 4k damage. He had like the lowest damage ever, and he literally just walked away from every time he saw a Fnatic, he just walked the other way.
That was the Skarner game, right?
Yeah, the first game. Yeah,
Yeah, that was
Garner. You better get 6 and force some sort of engage.
but he did nothing.
I mean,
Just-
credit to Yellow Star's warding. Like, even if Cacao were to do something, he would have gotten nothing out of it. But he still did nothing. It's just, I don't know. That was and really, it's depressing to see what's happened to Cacao.
Well, you're playing on that team too. I mean, that doesn't really help as much.
True.
But
True.
I mean, Invictus Gaming has just been like fucking Dr. Jekyll. There's no Dr. Jekyll. It's just Mr. Hyde and Mr. Hyde. It's like it's just two walking abominations that eventually sometimes they'll get a win.
Yeah, there are issues. Like I still think. So my original prediction was that Fnatic would top the group, IG would come second, and Cloud9 would come last, and HQ would come third. I now think first off, I don't actually think that Cloud9 will do as well in the second week as they did in the first one. So I think that they will probably end the group 4 and 2.
But that means they get out. So
yeah, so they will get out.
I actually also think they go for it too.
So they'll either go. Well, yeah, because I think they'll lose to Fnatic and IG second time around. So that would mean they'll go 4 and 2, and then I think that IG will go 2 and 4 because they will beat AHQ but lose to Fnatic. So I think Fnatic will probably get out of that group in. But the danger is if Cloud you could get into a weird situation where if Cloud9 lose to AHQ, which is possible, still possible, then it's shaking your head. I still think it's a chance.
I have my own theory that I can't wait to unleash.
Then you get into a weird situation where Cloud9 will go 3 and 3, Fnatic will be 4 and 2, and IG could go 3 and 3 as well. So in that situation, you could have.
I would say
tiebreaker.
Every team.
And then in that situation, I think IG would win the tiebreaker against Cloud9, and then Cloud9 wouldn't even get out.
Nope.
That's a really.
I know what you're gonna say. You're gonna say every
team's going 3-3.
Yes, I knew it. I knew it.
This is the nightmare scenario. Every team goes 3 and 3, and it's just it's just tiebreakers until literally the next day begins.
So what? Cloud9 would go 0-3. How would that work? Can that work?
Everybody beat somebody else.
Yeah, I could see IG coming back and just fucking murdering people. Like, it's the issues. Are they gonna show up? They only have to show up for 1 day now. 1 day they have to show up for.
Yeah, that's true. That's quite an IG thing to do.
Yeah, the fact that they got to win.
That is the IG thing to do. It's just like, oh, nope, can't do this, and then show up 1 day and just like pop people.
So everyone goes 3-3, and then what happens in that situation?
Lots of tiebreakers.
No, but then who wins in these tiebreakers?
You have to do a round robin. Oh, I don't fucking give a shit. Honestly, I'd say IG and Fnatic. I don't think I think HQ. It's obvious they have issues, and I think Cloud9. I'm surprised they weren't exposed in their previous game. Like, I'm surprised Fnatic lost to Cloud9. How could you not see the Tristana Azir comp coming? Yeah. How could you play a mid laner without teleport against like a super fast push team? You need to if you keep your towers up and you get to 20 minutes and you're not behind, you're going to win.
I also don't think there's like Hooney's getting a lot of flack in this tournament. I think half the issue is the fact that he's being put on the wrong champion in the sense that he played a game of Yasuo.
See, but that's a problem because I don't think Hooney doesn't play Gnar, and if you don't play Gnar,
no, he does play Gnar.
Yeah, but not that much, and he's actually not.
He doesn't play it well.
Historically, he's had very good results with Gnar actually.
Yeah, they went undefeated in the fucking in the regular season, man.
You can't look at that without a grain of salt because Gnar, his individual performances on Gnar and Maokai have not really been.
He's impressive. Wait, are we talking about the same player? He's multiple times landed big Gnar ults, that kind of thing. Like, talking about the same guy. He beat TSM with Gnar. Like, no, sorry, not beat TSM. He beat SKT with Gnar. Like, you can't say he's not good on Gnar. He is good on Gnar.
I'm not saying he's bad on Gnar. I'm just saying it's not as impressive as the rest of his champions.
The issue is that Darius is not a good pick. I don't care what anyone says. Darius is not a good pick.
No.
Darius relies the enemy team is playing. That's why it's great in solo queue. I love playing Darius in solo queue. Fucking love it. Can't do it all day if I could.
I think Darius works as long as you do not.
Darius works if you can get the team to engage on you, and you can just do what Balls did, which was go, I'm above level 16. My ult costs 0 mana.
Yeah.
Boom!
Dude, your ult costs 0 mana from level 6, man. As long as you... Resets are always 0 mana, so as long as you have mana for the first ult, the resets are all 0 mana.
Okay. I would say, like, all that 5 bleed stack, if you can get that going on multiple people, is disgusting.
That's so disgusting.
And that's the only way he's relevant.
At 18, you get 200 AD, so you're stacking like almost 400 AD. With that skills, with your bleed, you get 5 stacks, which is instantly proc your full black
regardless
cleaver,
of Darius,
and you have 25% armor penetration on your E. Nice.
Regardless of Darius, how could teams not foresee Cloud9? Cloud9 won their first game playing with Veigar, Tristana, and they did a lot of pushing and a lot of zoning. And then they gave Balls Gangplank so that he would, if he fell behind, it doesn't matter. He can get IET like Trinity Force and crit for millions of damage.
Ult. That's all he had to do with that whole game.
Yeah. But then you had the second game where they played Tristana Azir, and you're like, huh, that was pretty smart. They're doing this fast push. And then the third game they did Tristana Azir. It's like, how did you not see that coming?
Not yet.
It's ridiculous. And yeah, Hooney is a good player, but he is not Hooney of spring. He is not Hooney of the early summer. He has fallen off. He's still good, but he is not as good as he used to be.
I think that's the big mismatch in opinions. It's like people are really trying to downplay Hooney as a player. Like he's getting a lot more flack.
People are downplaying him in spring, though. That's my issue. People are saying he's not very good in spring.
Yeah,
exactly. Loads of people are fucking doing that.
Yeah, that's because people want to downplay him.
My
point is, my point is, Hooney, he's been getting downplayed all year. Nobody's going to deny that, but he still got credit for most of his actions during later spring and early summer. The problem is because he's fallen off slightly and he's not as good they're overblowing his status as look, he's trash here, he's useless, he's dragging all of Fnatic down. When reality is
he's not Balls.
He's not Balls.
Definitely not.
Yeah, he's not gonna. Okay. He's not gonna.
It's not Hooney. that's causing
And
that.
the team decisions, like the team.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, so this
it's
is
a draft phase in there.
So this is the problem. It's not Hooney that's causing that team to lose. It's Yellow Star. He's not playing as well as he did when he was in Europe. That's why that team is not.
I don't think
They're having
Absolutely,
poor
yeah.
Fnatic having poor Baron claws. Yellow Star himself is not playing as well as he normally does. That is why Fnatic are losing. It's Yellow Star. He was always the best.
Those calls are really bad, and that's why Hooney has found himself in a situation where he's not in the team fight. When he has teleport up, it's not all Hooney. It's like 50% Hooney, and it's like 30% Hooney, 70% his team telling him, "Hey, look, this is ready. There's a ward there. Teleport there," and then he should show up and do his job. That's what annoys me. That they're downplaying him, but for the wrong reasons.
I think it's an issue if you pick Yasuo into Darius. That's
always the
that's,
issue. You can't.
This
is what I mean.
That's a catastrophe.
Like Fnatic won't have the same issues they had in the second week as they had in the first. I don't think, but you can't ignore Yellow Star's not getting any flack at all, and he's the one playing badly. As long as they stop playing Alistar, that's step one to stop losing games. Because both games they lost, I'm pretty sure they were playing Alistar in both of them.
And in both, he's done very big.
Annie.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The game they lost to HQ is more to do with they couldn't get on Anne.
Yeah.
Tom Kench was an amazing pick because you could see
That
them
was
dive
hilarious.
onto On, and they would
Tom
Kench would eat him,
Brokenness,
and they would just stand around Tom Kench waiting for as they got killed, just waiting to get.
You can't stay there for 4 seconds, man. That's longer than Hourglass. I'm not sure why you wait for that. It's literally 4 seconds.
But you know what? Hooney's not the problem with that team. He's playing the same he's always played. I think he's just being put in a shit situation by.
He's part of the problem. He's part of the problem. I wouldn't give him. He's like the whole issue. He's not the significant issue. He's not the main reason why Fnatic is going as badly as they did in those games. He's just his champion pool might be an issue. I don't really know.
I have mostly issues with the kind of picks Fnatic is trying to pull off the whole time because they're like.
Fnatic's drafts were kind of weird the last two
games.
They're
really outdated, or they try something that is not really this kind of meta thingy. I mean, I don't mind Yasuo, but not into Darius. Like,
not way. I don't think Yasuo as a top laner altogether is really a good idea.
I mean, we saw Korea also pull it off sometimes.
As a split
but that was like 3 patches ago.
Yeah.
They used it against Gnar only because if you win while his Q, he gets fucked.
Yeah.
The bigger issue I had with Fnatic was exactly what Sam said with the shot calling. If you rewatch the Baron call, as the rest of Fnatic goes down towards the Baron, Fabivin goes off, grabs blue buff, and then shows up late. Never ults, is not super relevant. Like if he had his ball in the pit, 100% they win that game. They get Baron. They don't There are so many things that if he puts his ball in there and just ults, they kill so many more people than they get away with. Because of that, you had Sneaky with the great ultimate into Incarnation, killing Reckless, and it's just C9 plays very well when they can split push, get a quick gold lead, use their 2 dead bodies to absorb damage and distract you, have High tell them what to do, and then Incarnation and Sneaky do everything that comes through the term damage and relevance.
Yeah, but no, I was like, Group B is probably like the biggest clusterfuck of all the groups in the sense of like,
right now.
Because realistically, in a situation where any of those teams could actually get out, and you know what, that 3-3 4-way tie is actually like a realistic thing that could actually happen quite easily. It would be very Cloud9 to start losing games. Do I think Cloud9 will get out? I probably do think they'll get out in first now. Because I think that like as long as they win a game, they're probably dead set to get out. But I still think at the same time as well, like it could easily go.
The issue with that is, if they can win another game, they have to have some more strategy. Or like, no one is going to let them have Tristana Azir. They've played Tristana or Azir for 2 games, Tristana, Veigar a third, and they've just split pushed.
Yeah.
Like you can't leave middle turret. You cannot in lane phase. You cannot leave your turret unless someone else is there. If they're missing, if Tristana is not in lane, you can't leave. I don't care what you're buying. But Vivin went back and went from Amp Tome to Fiendish Codex, and was at like 80% health, 75% man. Like he didn't need to go back, and they almost lost first tier turret because of that.
Yeah.
Like it is so obvious what they do. They get really early turrets, and they just pressure all the lanes. And it's like the most annoying thing to do. It's like you're playing against fucking 5 proxy singers, and they're always in your base killing their minions going, oh, this is fun. They have that one strategy, and unless they have a second strategy, I don't see them winning another game.
I don't see them having a second strategy, to be honest.
No, they
Like,
won't.
It's the same strategy they use to win regionals.
Yeah,
Is they get a lot of gold really quickly, or rely on Sneaky and Incarnation to carry the game. And I don't think Sneaky and Incarnation can carry a game against teams that are, Gravity, Team Liquid.
But when you watch their gauntlet run as well, like they would try a different strategy in the first 2 games, lose,
Not work.
and then they would go to their tried and tested strategy and then win 3 games in a row. So I don't understand. Like, so yeah, I just like for me, Group B. Maybe it's because it hasn't got a Korean team. It hasn't actually got a reliably good team that it can, not get shit on all the time. But that's why it's so fucking complicated and so fucking difficult to fucking understand. But it's probably the most entertaining group. I would give it that.
Yes.
In a way, for sure.
It is definitely one of the hardest to call. I think it is the hardest to call.
I just think it'd be hilarious if it went 3-3 and it was like the never-ending group that never ended, where they just had okay, we're calling it. You guys are gonna be back after this group's over. Go take a quick 8-hour nap.
That is the group of death.
AHQ is another team where wow, that they we've seen AHQ turn it on and be able to beat teams. We saw them beat Fnatic. I mean, again, this MSI. I think AHQ is a team that can beat people if they're playing. It's the same as IG. Can they turn it on? The biggest thing is if you watch IG, it's Westdoor when he played the Fizz game. I believe that was the first one against C9. He kept playing the Fizz game and he kept going super aggressive, super ham, and he just didn't. His team didn't follow him up. And then if his team followed him up, there's a couple occasions if they followed up, it's wow, they probably could have done pretty well. And then the other game they lost is Ziv. They need to not put Ziv on a tank. Ziv is the backbone of that team. If he does not play well, they're not going to play well. But if he starts playing well and they can follow up on Westdoor's damage and Westdoor's surprise engages, because they're surprised to everyone. They could take games too. It's this whole group is just fucking who shows up.
Yeah. So here's an interesting point for yourself. So normally at Worlds, China actually performs really well. There's actually something that people don't give credit for. I don't think I've ever seen a Chinese team fail to get out of groups in Worlds.
No Chinese team has failed to get out of groups.
No. And normally they have a decent crack at it and then a best of 5 and that kind of thing. 2 Chinese finalists and whatnot. My issue is this World this is the worst China's ever performed by a large margin. This is also the first time they've taken mass Korean imports. Are they going to buy more Korean players next season? It's not really worked.
I wanted to talk about that.
I'm saying, is Chaser already bought? Because if he's not, I'd be going, I guess I get to stay on Jin Air.
Yeah, it's my point. Are we going to get back to the point? Because if these Korean players aren't playing on Chinese teams, are they going to go to North American, European teams? I don't think so. I think you're going to find a situation where, because of the one-team rule in China and Korea as well, it's going to be I think it's quite easy to imagine a massive saturation of talent in the sense of if a lot of these players come back, Dade's one, for example. Is Dade going to stay another year in China? He hates his team. Exactly. So imagine if some of these players come back and they start joining Korean teams again. Yeah, it's less money for them and stuff like that. But actually, Korean wages have actually gone up a lot as well. Kesper, as a result of that, has put a minimum wage in place and whatnot. So you might come to a situation where Korea just gets fucking stacked again. Because what I would say China did is, while it's better in itself, it did weaken Korea quite considerably. Because Korean teams in Season 4 would have not. I mean, I suppose they lost. Samsung Blue lost that game, but I don't think. I think that we could get into a situation, especially with the one-team rule now as well. You could get into a point where these Korean teams have rosters 15, 20 people deep.
Yeah.
With as many good players, with 4 incredible players on the roster, kind of thing.
We could see Dandy and Spirit be on the same team.
You have. Oh, please don't.
I wouldn't want to see it, but
I mean, when you go over some of these rosters in your head and you just think okay, so imagine if players just returned back to their old team. So imagine if Rookie and Kakao just returned back to KT. Imagine if the Samsung players just returned back to Samsung. Imagine if
No, Fury, no.
Imagine if some of the Najin players returned back to Najin. Like,
oh, that would be so sad.
You could get into a situation where like some of these teams are like seriously stacked again, because like no Korean team's properly stacked now. They could get to a point where they're just overload talent.
My question there though is, Sam, there are 25 Korean players here at Worlds, 8 Chinese. What? Look at OMG. OMG is the only team in China to stay Chinese.
Yeah, but OMG.
And look at what happened.
OMG, that's a completely isolated incident though, because.
But I mean, that's our only data point. That's our only data point.
Exactly.
We had the exact same issue last year, where we saw Star Horn Rail Club, the only data point of Koreans in a Chinese team, and you see this expansion of that, and you see one Chinese team rely. And instead of them doing well, they're doing poorly. So is this like, oh, we didn't have the right Koreans? Or are you going to see a huge, like, Koreans move back to Korea or go other countries? Or are you going to see a huge swap of Koreans?
No, I don't think you'll see a swap of them. I don't think that will happen.
Well, they'll just you'll have this super rich, just like trade contracts.
Back, you know?
I don't think it'll all come back, but I definitely think there are some, especially the ones that didn't make Worlds. I think they're quite likely to come back. And then I think the LGD
are over. Yeah, sure.
I really hope Spirit comes back. I really hope.
I see Spirit going to NA or EU.
Yeah. Some of them will be too addicted to the money, though. You got to remember as well.
Honestly, I'd be fine with that. Like, I want to see Spirit get the fuck out of there.
Are they gonna get the money though?
Plot twist: Team Liquid buys Imp.
Please no.
Yeah, that worked well before being Korean AD carry.
Totally. Hey, they extended Piglet's contract.
So there's a comment in the chat. I like to interact with the chat whenever possible. And there's a comment in the chat that says it's because Chinese players holding Koreans back. I don't necessarily agree, because I actually think that there are a lot of good Chinese players out there, and I think that, you know,
TBQ is holding them back, but that's irrelevant. Just like Lumlex is holding back H2K.
Yeah,
you just have these terrible players.
But you can't judge the entire of Chinese junglers by TBQ. So what I would say is that I just don't think it's working in the way that a lot of these Chinese billionaires thought it would work when they started paying all these Koreans this massive salaries, in the sense of, yes, Korea got weaker, but you didn't get any stronger. You actually got weaker as well as a region, which is really odd when you think about it. But
it is very odd.
I think the issue too with it is just like with the Korean swapping is there's a bunch of like Dade, and you got Dade and Looper. It's like, okay,
yeah,
like how they grabbed Koreans didn't seem like, oh, we're gonna grab these 2 Koreans and then we have this pool of Chinese players, we're gonna build around these guys, we want to put this guy in. The only team I saw that really happened with was QG, but QG is such a a fucking mental team. There's so many issues there. I don't want to begin. I just think that they were like, we want a good jungler, so we got one of Swift, and we're gonna get Doin B, who is basically Swift's 3rd summoner spell, and we're gonna build our team around that.
But then they were gonna get Flame for a bit as well, but Flame they offered Flame more money than he got in LGD, but then Flame wanted to play for a top tier LPL team rather than for because at the time QG were the league below LSPL. So he didn't want to play in the league below LSPL.
Oh yeah, because they just qualified LSPL. Oh yeah.
But then QG bought bought SPG's spot, and that's how they got into the LSPL. Because buying spots is just something the Chinese teams do.
Oh, that's common thing.
Yeah,
I don't see why it's not a North American thing too either. Cough enemy.
Yeah.
Cough millions of dollars. Cough.
But yeah, I just can't imagine there being another Korean exodus, because I don't think it's actually worked out for these Chinese teams like they wanted it.
No, but it's like the point Pinata was doing before. It's like you had these random mixes of players with teams that made no sense. I mean, the biggest example was Dandy and Mata being put onto Vici with absolutely no carry whatsoever.
Yeah, but that's because it was a free for all. Like when you understand the politics behind it, was
that's my point. I mean, that's the point. That's the biggest point. It's like if these roster moves are done in this manner, in this specific manner, you are going to end up with another situation in which a lot of talent is just going to migrate to another country in exchange for money. Their success is going to be irrelevant.
Yeah.
It's going to be irrelevant.
Not for the people who are paying their wages.
If OMG wanted to, and they got Dandy and Mata, I could be like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, because you had a great lineup. Going. Well, not go going anymore.
They had the people to support them around the team. That's.
I mean, just put it this. So far at Worlds, what team that uses Korean imports is doing well?
EDG.
H2K. They got to win.
EDG are doing well. The EDG are in a very weak group.
No, C9.
I was going to say Fnatic before they lost to Cloud9, but never mind.
H2K.
No,
They're doing the best in their group. They showed up for 2 games, did not terribly. And
The reason that EDG are doing well is because EDG, when they recruited their players, they had a decent pool of Chinese players anyway. So they had Clear Love, they had Koro, and they had FZZ.
They did not replace...
Who almost immediately retired. But my point is that they replaced you with Pawn, very similar players, and they replaced Name with Deft, very similar players. So they already had the blueprint for success there. They just did slight or large upgrades depending on how you think about Name and you. I think they're all right personally. So they already had a blueprint there for success. Fnatic was more tailor-made in the sense that they didn't actually manage to get their roster together until like 2 weeks before the LCS started. So these were rosters that had like a lot of planning going into it. A lot of the other Chinese rosters was just like, who can we get? Who can we get? Like, can we? Like, Marta's going for 500,000. Sign him immediately. Sign him. Like, what AD carry can we get? Oh, fuck if I know. Like, just get him. It'll be brilliant. Like, that was so. I don't
get Mystic.
No Korean import is really going well for these for any team really.
You can see them play well.
Yeah.
In LPL, you saw them playing well, but it's not to like massive success. It's just there was no thought in when they brought them over. Just like throwing money at it and going, "I hope this sticks."
Yeah.
Which is the issue we have here. I mean, LGD was one of the teams that's like, "Wow, that kind of makes sense," and they've just whatever happened. But it's crazy to think what happened. But I mean, that's
what happens.
I mean, a good example of one that was not that is very not well thought of was Invictus Gaming, because if you remember, if anyone remembers old Invictus Gaming, that one based around apart from those two, which are huge issues on their own, the big power of old IG was the fact that Zitai was like the roamer. He was like what Godvi is to LGD now.
I'm not going to talk about IG because I thought IG was shit when they had ZZ Tai, and I think ZZ Tai is shit. So I don't think they ever had anything going for them. I actually think they just profited off the fact of a weak region. Like
that's not what we're trying to discuss anyway. It's just a point to my example. Like, they took that identity of the team, they plucked it out entirely, shoved new players in, assuming it was going to work. That's exactly what had happened. And then the fiasco with Save and Fly, which were two very fucking talented players, and now we're just not going to enjoy them apparently.
If it wasn't for IG though, we wouldn't have Ganked by Mom. So thank you IG, fuck you IG.
Yeah.
Thank you and fuck you.
Yeah, they give and they take. You know what I mean? Like, gotta love me some GBM.
I hope Frozen doesn't go to China. I hope he just gets upgraded.
This is my point.
Okay.
I don't think they're gonna see Koreans leave after this, because they're like, well, I mean, unless they just want the money. Which case, hats off, good for you. It's not a very long career you're gonna have.
That's fine.
But is the money still going to be there? You know.
Probably.
No, let's be real.
If you're good enough.
Like, if you're.
Can you really justify him $700,000 a year salary when when LGD goes 0-6 in groups?
They did win finals.
It is
LPL.
China. There is no such thing as justifying anything.
Okay.
That's pretty.
So we want to move on to the rant time.
Please.
About just quick.
We can keep it short.
The biggest issue I have with like this is that every single day the groups start. I want like a huge, before you see the riot, like countdown. It needs to count down like when you go to a movie and it says like, warning, you can't filming this is illegal and you're gonna go to jail. Like, talking about this without understanding the current situation of the game is illegal, and you will be found, and someone will come to your house and murder the shit out of you. Is that, remember, this is the brand new meta. There is no competitive games being played on this before this patch came out. No one really fucking knows exactly what's great. The meta is still sifting. It's best of one, and we already know best of one is pretty random. I mean, if you look at a different esport, look at CSGO, you can see a lot of crazy stuff happen best of ones in the group stage, crazy wins, crazy losses. But once you get to the knockout bracket, it's like, oh, yeah, this is exactly what's going to happen. The better teams clearly are beating the teams that are not good. And they may win one game, but after the other two game maps, they crush it. And then you also have the issue that there are so many OP picks, and the balance is completely laughable.
Oh yeah.
If you just look at picks and bans, the fact that Gangplank is a must ban because he still isn't fixed, because he is a 80 champion that doesn't need to buy Last Whisper because he has it built into his kit.
You can't itemize against it.
Great idea, guys. I'm glad we don't need to. We're giving him 2,300 like gold with what people buy that for in his kit, and then you have champions like Mordekaiser goes, huh? Why is he? Oh, because Dragon. Like those things are completely retarded.
The biggest thing in my case is the fact that all of these have happened while some of the previous OP picks are still just as OP, and we're brought into a point where certain items are making certain champions be a lot stronger than they should be. Specifically, Juggernaut, and then Dead Man's Plate is just holy shit.
And nobody's buying it. I'm so pissed. It's so underbought.
No, they are buying it, but only on theirs.
There's like junglers buying it. Random junglers are buying it.
Everybody should buy it. It's so good.
AD Carry should buy that item. Have you seen it? It's horrendous.
I've seen junglers buy that. I've seen an Olaf have it, and it was completely insane.
I just want to see Bangkok Titans get Rammus and have him buy get all the speed items and just we're just going for speed, guys. Like get Garen, Rammus, and just build Zeals.
The irony of that is Rammus right now is so fucking broken between the Dead Man's Plate, the Sterix Gauge, because you already get a lot of shit ton of.
Titanic Hydra. Fuck Sterix Gauge.
I think the issue with Rammus at this, the reason why he's probably not going to get picked is that you need I would only see Rammus being picked red side last pick because it's like, wow, we know what to do now. We can just get champions that are going to stun you from far away and go, well,
just pick Morgana.
Yeah, pick Morgana or pick Anivia if you really want to go crazy, or just pick any kind of champion that can stun them from far away distance and just walk away from him.
He's still broken as fuck if he's used in the right place.
In this meta, you have to save your top or either your pick for top or mid lane. You have to save those. You have to get a counter pick or a comfort pick you want against those lanes. And unless you unless you pick a jungle top laner, you could pick Olaf, who could go either way for say Fnatic. I don't really see, because Fnatic's the only team that's playing Olaf jungle. I don't really see him getting through. Just the way that the pick and ban phase needs to go.
Rammus, yeah.
I don't really see Rammus making it through. Also, pick and ban, please, people. Clean up your fucking pick and ban teams. It's disgusting.
It's been so bad. So many teams.
Darius is not a first pick.
No, I don't know. That's why my team seems to still doing it.
It's insane. And I think it's a negative win rate right now. So I'm like, and even if teams win, they have to drag Darius over the finish line. Come here, man. We'll carry you to the win. You actually do nothing, but we're gonna.
Whereas Fiora is an under
always.
Also, she's a flex.
Awesome.
She can go mid or top.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
Because you can go mid teleport, and it's okay, everyone's doing that.
Okay, realistically though, how many mids do you actually see playing Fiora mid? Aside from Faker, let's ignore Faker. He can play anything.
I think
aside from him,
it's better than fucking Echo.
Yeah.
It's not like you need. See, the issue too is with Darius, Fiora, and Gangplank. It's not like it matters if you have 3 ADs because Gangplank doesn't need to buy Last Whisper.
Mid, then if you go Fiora mid, which is another big issue I see a lot. The fuck's the wave clear?
Yeah,
that's a risk you have to take. If you flex Lulu somewhere or you take Sivir, you can get.
I mean, sure. Okay, that's different. If you put Lulu top and you have Fiora,
that's what I mean.
That's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine.
I'm just saying, there's comps that you can use to use the Fiora, and it's just having the flex pick is a huge thing.
Yeah, that I agree with. Because Fiora, once Fiora gets just to her Tiamat, she doesn't need to get any further. You're not going to push as faster than she can clear. You're not going to push faster.
Darius is true damage. Gangplank doesn't need to buy Last Whisper because who gives a shit about armor when he already has it built into his kit. And Fiora does % health damage.
True damage. So, it's also true damage.
True damage. You don't. That's why these are so horribly broken. Is because you could run 3 AD and it doesn't fucking matter how much armor you have because it's true damage. And if you pop Fiora's ult and you sit in your team just sits in the ult, you're not gonna lose that team fight. Doesn't matter how tanky the enemy team is. You sit in that motherfucking ult and just like, oh, I'm just gonna heal up to full as you try to damage me through it. It's like there's nothing you can do. It's just it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
We need a giant banner up here that's like competitive integrity in quotations.
So what I'll do is announcement as well. So Twitch Korea, Little Susie's doing interviews with like a lot of people worlds. I'm actually helping her out with a lot of the questions and stuff like that, which means there's actually really fucking good interviews. So, and obviously because you can interview any Korean player and then do the translation on the spot there. So I definitely recommend. I'm going to link all 4 days because she's done like sort of 2 hours worth of interviews.
The interviews are brilliant.
Yeah, doesn't she keep the interviews in one like thread though? Hasn't she done that?
Yeah, so I'm gonna.
Because I just bookmarked that thread and I'm gonna.
Yeah,
during the week.
So I'm gonna link. So I'm gonna send. Because I'm helping out a lot of questions and really, really, really good stuff. So if you want to learn insight about a lot of players, you should go and watch those interviews. Probably really, really good. And the questions, well, some of them anyway. So definitely worth going to check that out.
One last thing, if we're gonna start wrapping up.
Yeah, probably. I can't think of anything else to talk about at this
My
point.
one issue is that people need to stop using the faker of blank. You need everyone go if you don't understand this, go watch Thorin's thing where he talks about the words aggressive and passive. How once you start overusing a word, you destroy it. Like a worrying trend has actually been destroyed as the term of actually using it, trying to use like being analytical and use that
Even
term.
if you're serious, it's now a meme.
It's been fucking memed to death. And the faker of blank is so worthless now. It's like, again, a person who is helping meme things to death, veteran EU who was on the show before, he wrote a great article about faker and about what makes faker truly peerless. And it is not anything to do with his actual play. It's how he reacts and understands and can come back after something happens. He is amazing at that. And it's just no other player has that. That's why faker is faker. Stop saying he's the faker of NA. He's the faker. It's not just like the greatest player. Just say greatest player. He's the best player in NA. He's the greatest player in EU. He's the greatest player in the West. Just fucking use greatest player. You don't need to. Oh, he's the faker of this. He's the faker of support. He's the faker of taking dragon. He's the faker of dewarding. It's like, holy shit! Stop it.
Daylo's the faker of coaches.
Yes, I just like want to walk up to people and just like fucking slap them.
Sam, that big band proves otherwise.
Yeah.
But I just want to slap them and then like hand them a dictionary and be like, there are a ton of fucking words. Use them. Get a word of the day calendar. I have one. I'm not super smart. I like to see new words.
Okay, so I like a good meme now and again, just like everyone else does.
Yes, but this world has become memes because no one anyone that wants to do analysts, like all these prosciutto or Prudo analysts on Twitter, there's nothing to analyze because the fun game is just memes.
Yeah, I think they're having like 2 good games.
There's nothing to go there's nothing to really break down. It's like, oh yeah, how he placed that gangplank barrel there and then shot it and did 2,060 damage. Great play. There's a lot of it's a fucking broken item. Whatever, can't do shit.
I noticed that because a lot of what I do when I'm watching the game, since I'm on my phone, I can constantly browse Twitter and go back to the games. I usually tweet the last thing I saw and I make a comment about it. I remember watching the Gangplank ult into the barrel from the Flash Wolves game and Tigers, and I mentioned it. I was like, that ultimate from Maple was very well placed because people were trying to run out of it, and they ignored the barrel. They could have whacked the barrel, and the barrel would have gone away. That was a very good ultimate because it ignored that. I get no answer, nothing. I get nothing. I have 200 followers. I get nothing. But the other, there's some guy who has 100, and he says, "Lol, top kick barrel." He gets 7 likes or 7 favorites, and I'm like, okay, fine, great.
Gotta learn to meme better, mate.
I need to meme better.
I don't want to meme. I don't want to meme about Jin Air and other sad, terrible things.
I'm not good at memeing. What the fuck do I do?
It's just,
okay. Also, back on the faker thing. I wanted to say one thing about the faker thing. before we move away from that, I think the best way it was put was the way Thorin did in his video about Faker is like, Faker is not just an outlier amongst great players, amongst very good players, amongst great mid laners. He's the biggest possible outlier in League of Legends. It's not just, there's never going to be any player like him, a once in a generation type player. Stop using him as a comparison. You cannot compare anything to Faker. It's just not there. There is no point of comparison. Nothing.
Oh well.
I got that out there. Okay. I'm
Anything
sad.
else?
Tilts me. To meme, finding to meme some more just tilts me to no end.
Today was a weird day because that LGD versus TSM happened. Tilt. Then KT versus Origin happened. That settles the tilt.
Good game.
Then the C9 versus Fnatic happened. It was like, okay, well, we're in Tilt universe right now. But then Coup Tigers versus CLG happened.
Best game ever. Best game ever.
Oh my
Okay.
God.
It's like we're back down to normal. I'm like, I don't know what to feel right now.
I said before, my favorite thing is watching that C9 versus Fnatic followed directly by CLG and Coup, and you're like, well, this is one team, Fnatic, not doing what they need to do, and this is team Coup doing exactly what they need to do against this comp. It's like, wow, I could not have seen the difference better.
It has been satisfying because coming into this, everyone was saying like, "Oh, Korean teams aren't very good anymore. The LCK is not the best league. All this kind of thing." Actually, it's the same as it always is. Korea is completely in a rebuilding state and is 7-2 so far.
And most likely, EDG will meet SKT in the finals, and SKT will win.
Yeah.
And it will be the same
No,
again.
wait, no. EDG aren't
Random-
making finals.
Random Chinese team goes up against Chinese or Korean monster, and the finals is uninteresting, and the semis was better.
No, we'll have a good finals this year because it will be an all-Korean final, I reckon. Finally, one Korean team isn't shit in the bed. It's Chinese teams that are shit in the bed now instead. They've taken that curse. You buy all the buy the
watch.
curse as well.
KT is gonna get second place, be magically seeded against SKT. SKT is gonna win, face Coup in the semis, and then fucking EDG
Watch that happen.
gets on the other side of the bracket, and it's gonna be random Chinese team gets dumped on by SKT or Samsung. 3 years in a row, unfun finals. Here we go.
Yes, I'm not going. I'm going to semis anyway. So whatever.
Oh, cool.
I could see it happening. 3 Koreans on one side of the bracket.
Definitely.
I'm annoyed that it's probably going to happen.
It's still theoretically luck, so you never know.
Hashtag rigged.
Yeah, yeah.
Luck.
CLG got that group, man. That has to be rigged. Oh my god.
Right.
Anything else to talk about? Or are we good to go?
I think we're good.
I think it's just one final note I wanted to...
Okay, you
Say.
can do shout out at the end.
No, it's not a shout out, really. It's just one final statement. It's the fact that I keep seeing people flaming on Twitter to other people, not directly me, that we, like most of the Korean elitists or whatever, they're not happy when other teams do an upset or whatever that's the case, and that is completely false. That is 100% false. Just because they're not as happy about that upset that you are, that doesn't mean that they're not glad that it happened. Like, nobody wants to wake up in a world in which the only competition SK Telecom has is amongst them fucking selves. Really. Like,
Sam
The only competition they have. No, the only competition they have is their coach putting Easy Hoon in.
that's
If I could sign a pact, like some kind of dark pact with somebody that would mean that Najin would be the best team in the world for like 10 years straight, I'd do it. I'd 100% do it in a heartbeat. I'd quite happily sacrifice the enjoyment of this game for Najin's total domination. So, like, but no, I see what you mean.
Yep.
The problem is that in reality, it's like, because it's been upset fucking City right now with Worlds, even though Korean teams are still winning, it's still been upset City. Like, is people like, there's one thing to like rub a result in someone's face, and there's another thing to be like really nasty about it. And I can only imagine
It's
like
just the best of one, you know.
Yeah, the horrible results. And also, I'd like to say it's best of one. Like, you're drawing a result from effectively what is one game. Like, if a best of 5 happens and the best of 5 scoreline is 3-1, then that could still be pretty one-sided. You know what I mean? Like, so it's pretty normal in a best of 5.
So YTSM.
That's probably the most common best of 5 result in there is 3-1 to one team, I would go on a whim and say. So, like, stop drawing drastic, massive conclusions from best of one. Like, that's what I would say. Like, Taiwan is not shit because Flash Wolves and AHQ have lost some best of ones. Like, that's not the way it works. Like,
that's my point. And how people react to those upsets can be far too overboard. Like, you have to understand that we, as people who enjoy watching and analyzing the game, all of our predictions, all of what we're saying. I've stopped doing predictions entirely because I know it's just going to be a shit fest. All of what we say in terms of who we think is going to win is because of the evidence that has been provided to us during the year. We're not just wanting a Korean team to win, but after seeing Faker go completely fucking mental on everybody he has faced, I assume Faker is just going to dumpster everybody he faces. That's just what I assume from seeing him play. Like, it's not that I want him to do that. He's just going to do it.
well,
There's also the difference between being mean on Twitter and being, like, just kind of cheeky. And if you want to be mean, just don't at them.
yeah.
Like, I'm a dick to some of the casters, and I'll say things I shouldn't about players, but I never at them, and I have, like, no followers. So if my followers retweet them, or tweet at them with, like, the new thing where you can quote tweet, you're an asshole.
Yeah.
Like, I'm saying it just be like, hey, everyone, this is my thought. I don't want them to see it. I don't want to walk up to their face and be like, Wild Turtle, you're the fucking worst human being ever. Go fucking kill yourself. No, I'm sure he's a nice person, and I don't like his play. But I wouldn't walk up to him and, like, just, like, print out a thing and just read my tweets off to him being a complete dick. That's not human beings' work. That's how you walk out and, like, one day if you do that, you're just gonna show up and, like, get fucking murked. Someone's just gonna walk up and just kill you if you're that kind of person. It's like,
Speaking of the chat, there's a comment that says, come on, you can't expect to not get salt back when you say shit like 0 and 69 when they go 3-0. Right. That's my point. I don't mind getting salt back. I was one of the people who said, okay, CNI was going to go 0 and 6. I don't mind people rubbing it in my face. What I don't want is people being absolute dicks about it.
My difference is, did they predict C9 was going to go 3-0? Because I would like to hear the reasoning. I would like to hear the reasoning.
The thing is, if legitimately you show me a tweet of that guy talking from like the 25th of September and says C9 is going to go 3-0 in the group in the first week, then I'd applaud that fucker. I'd fucking applaud that guy. First of all, I'd call him mental, but then the guy.
To be fair, there is a difference between making a prediction based on the evidence and logic that you have going into it and just saying every single time that you think a team is going to win because they're from a region that you like. There is definitely
there's a massive difference.
Like,
Season 2 Worlds, I was one of those idiots who's like, I think TPA is going to win. I had no reasoning. I heard a bunch of stuff, I read an article, I'm like, oh, this sounds really good. I think they're going to win. And they did. And I was like, wow, that was lucky.
You didn't
I didn't shove it in people's ears. I was like, wow, I was stupid, but it was right.
Yeah, an actual prediction is one way with logic and reasoning. This is why when a big upset happens, people would go, called it! I'm like, well, you're kind of just devaluing the upset there, aren't you? Because the point of an upset is that it goes against the prediction made onto it, and it goes against all the logic and evidence going into it. So, like, I predict that Najin are going to win every single match they ever play. I can't do it. I don't understand how not to do it. You know what I mean? They could play SK Telecom tomorrow, and I think they've got a good chance of winning, to be honest with you. They're going to take it to the cleaners. I believe in OQ. But that I also, when Najin win, I don't go, called it. I go, yes, they won. I get vindicated by like this eternal torture you have. So by you continuously predicting every European team is going to win every single game, that doesn't mean that you actually like this amazing analyst kind of thing. And somebody who predicts every European team do not win every game or whatever. Like, so T9 going 3-0 is great. It's amazing. Who actually predicted that? Who put logic and evidence into that other than I like Cloud9? Because if your logic and evidence going into that prediction is I like Cloud9, it's not an actual prediction, is it, mate?
I think it's the same as you have with LMQ. LMQ was like, wow, that was surprising, and then they just pooped out the bed. It's like the same thing with C9. I was like, oh, they had that great comp, and now it's over. And then they got another comp. They got the comp again. I was like, huh. I mean, after they got after the fake ban phase, I was like, oh, I could see them winning this game.
Yeah, I said it won't get the second and third to win. It's like, oh yeah, after this draft, yeah, it's probably gonna be C9 win. Even though beforehand I predicted C9 to lose, it was like, yeah, this draft is super good for C9. Like, they're gonna win this.
Yeah. Cool. I think that about wraps up the show anyway.
Yep.
Can't think of
Yep,
anything
that's
else
all.
I want to talk
I gotta cook dinner for the week, so.
about. Oh, brilliant.
We'll be back next week with the end of the groups.
Yep, and then we'll do like
Bye-bye.
stuff. See you later. Bye bye.